live. We're on screen. Welcome, everybody. I've played with the setting. So the layout's a little different. I like it like this. On a side note, I have a gift. I have a gift for all of us. Here.
I'm scared.
Have it. It's wonderful. Take that in,
Oh,
everybody.
it's power rankings.
It's
Hell
power
yeah.
rankings.
Oh boy.
Oh boy.
Oh man, we have. Oh, I was hoping for five.
Okay,
unique
so Michael and I share the brain cell, and then Dodge and Sean share the brain cell.
Just for the top four.
For the top four, and then after that, it kind of gets a little dicey.
To be fair, the top four is the exact same for all of us,
okay.
Which I think says a statement of this season so far.
Ordered around.
I want to say.
Yeah.
What the fuck, Sean?
What? Which part? Oh, can you tell the thing I'm pissed at you guys about this week? Can you tell what I'm upset about? The 1 week I like it, you all drop it.
Dude,
you all
holy
drop
shit.
it to 7.
We got my board.
You all drop it to fucking 7 and 8. The week that I think it's the fucking best it's been. What the hell, guys?
Okay.
What the hell?
Okay.
We'll
Hear me
talk
out.
about it, but I'm pissed.
But-
You'll put girlfriend
no.
above that shit. Get out of here.
No, there's a very specific reason
thought-
why I have it at 8.
Unironically
Okay.
thought girlfriend was a little bit funnier this week because for me the jokes didn't land this week.
So I'm going
Sean,
to.
your opinion on girlfriend is just incorrect, and I'll get to that when we get to
I'm going to switch mine. By the way, my Black Company and girlfriend. I switched them at the very last second. I want to switch them back. So girlfriend at 6, dungeon at 5.
So we can match me and Dodge. It's gonna have that exact same 5-6.
Yeah, that's literally what it was because I had that up until like watching
Okay,
through today, and then I was like, you guys said the girlfriend was funnier this week, and I was like,
So
kind of was.
I thought it was a little bit funnier.
That is the one thing I'm real mad about. Is that my Uramichi
I'm
is
shocked.
so much higher, and everyone else just dropped it this week. And of course,
I don't like showing my show bias. I didn't
No,
want to
sir.
put those both above Black Company.
No surprise. The thing I switched, by the way, Dodge, because I told you I switched something to make my point stronger. I had Remain above Life Lessons. Fuck that. It went below it. Because I want to make a point this week. I have a couple of points, and I think if I have Remain above Life Lessons, it hurts my point. So I'm trying to think about what Mason told me about last week, with how high I had Peach Boy realistically, and how I was talking about it. And having it as high as I had the previous weeks hurt my other points because you would look at my power ranking and go, yeah, but you're fucking dumb. So this week I'm trying to have my power ranking reflect exactly how I feel. I'm obviously still a little upset with everybody on this podcast about Remain, but I understand. This is a week I want to talk about. But we have a lot of things to unpack first. Firstly, hi everybody, welcome. We're gonna have strong language and spoilers on today's episode of the Saber Slate podcast. Welcome to episode 4. This doesn't feel like episode 4.
It feels like we're halfway through the season because we are halfway through a lot of
I blame our shows for almost all of them having an additional episode out, so it feeling like we're further than we are. And then also,
except for one that's going to be behind after this week.
We'll talk about it. I know. We'll talk about it.
We're gonna hope.
We have to talk about how we're gonna handle it on the podcast, boys, because I know what you're hoping for. Even if it happens, I don't know if that's the right thing to
Mason, do you know what we're referencing?
He noticed it,
We'll
and
get
I
there.
told him we would talk about it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I know what you're talking about.
He went to go watch episode 6 and went, "Is that a 6.5?"
Wait,
Yeah,
what?
I literally.
You haven't seen
looked
that
at it,
part
it's like,
yet, huh?
It's a 6.5 this week instead?
Yeah, it's a 6.5.
Oh my.
I took one look at it and I was like, wait, what the fuck?
We'll talk about it.
What are we doing?
See, when me and Dodge watched, the 6.5 didn't exist yet.
Yeah, no, it
was
just
there
said on
last night.
it just said on AniList 10 days till next episode, and I'm like, Chotomate.
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 I have.
I mean,
have
understandable
notes
to
this
take
week.
breaks.
Oh,
It's
that's
good.
Not what I want up on
It's
screen.
good that companies are taking breaks.
Chotomate.
Give me a minute.
I've watched the first episode of Shirobako. Delay shit. Help.
Sorry,
It's no delay.
That is not what I am clicking on, second monitor. My Word document is not that.
I don't see the problem.
I have a Word document full of notes this week because Mason unfortunately lost all of his notes on Vanitas, so therefore I felt like I needed to compensate by having notes on every show this week. There are notes written up afterwards. I also need to have notes because I've watched a lot this week.
been a long week for me.
So I'll kick off with what I've been watching. Michael and I caught up on Slime at least to episode 6. If 7 came out, we haven't watched it yet.
Yeah.
I'm worried. My camera's a little choppy, but so long as it's just the camera and not stream, no worries there.
I enjoy being able to see Sean's hair being pushed by the fan. That's
I don't know what you're talking about.
It's off screen. It's wonderful.
It's a big ass fan. It's on 1. So if it's coming through at all.
But like, is it a big ass fan? TM. Because there isn't.
God damn it, Mason.
That's not a PS. That's not a big ass fan though. That's a Polonus.
Yeah, correct. No, it's not.
There's a company called Big Ass Fans.
Yeah, I know.
Try to get it to be focused. So yeah, Michael and I caught up on Slime. That was fun. I'm so pissed. I'm so excited for that next episode, for episode 7.
Mm-hmm.
They introduced so many great characters that as soon as they murder Clayman, I'm gonna be so happy to interact with the rest of this cast again. As soon as Clayman's just out of my face, which I'm hoping happens in a couple of episodes. Very pumped to keep watching Slime. I finished through the Gugu arc of To Your Eternity, and then watched 2 episodes further, so I finished episode 14. God,
it's almost done.
I had to stop. It hasn't aired an episode since 17, so I think they're on a little break. And it's supposed to go to 24, I think.
That was 20.
No, it's 20.
Is
right?
it 20 or
It's
20?
20.
Is it just 20? Okay, yeah.
It was
It's
20. I'm
20.
pretty sure that was like the whole
it's
thing.
close. I didn't remember. It's close then.
I'll
I had to
check while
stop
you're doing that.
after I watched the Gugu arc. I started watching a little further, and I had to go. Nope, I have to stop. I can't be hurt again. I can't. I need to take this in small doses. Cause God, it's not just the ending of the Gugu arc that got me. It's some of the shit they do at the start of the next arc. Oh my God, dude! That show is incredible. I love To Your Eternity. I finished those Snow White notes because I never watched its last 2 episodes or its last episode.
I'm sorry.
I actually didn't hate finishing it so long as it gets something down the line, because I think it's set up for a really good like next season. And I might legitimately enjoy it. I do think some of the stuff at the end of that show is garbage, and I think the way that everybody treats him in terms of his family and everyone around him, the show doesn't make any of them out to be bad people for wanting one particular thing from him, which makes me think the show doesn't know what it wants him to do. Which is like my only real complaint with that, is that everyone's like, you have one side it's like, you should play your grandfather's song, and another side it's like, you should have your own style, and another side it's like, you need anything. And I'm just like, well, someone tell me what's the thing he should be striving for, because it seems like no one fucking knows. Which I think hurts the show, even if it's useful for it. But overall, I think I like him as a main character. I think by the end of the season, he's in a very strong space. And I would love to see more of that down the line. I finished Nagatoro. I loved it. It was great. It was exactly what I would have wanted from it. And my understanding is that the anime downplays the club president's breast size, which, holy shit, that's an impressive decision if that's what they did, because they don't try to hide it.
It's not by very much.
It is surprising if they had to downplay it, because I wouldn't believe it. But I really like Nagatoro. It makes me want to give Uzaki a second chance.
She's got huge boobs, a real set of honkers, some real badonkers, some real Hantanagahugas.
I am once again also caught up on Spirit Chronicles. I am very upset that Isekai is not on this show, and I'm going to talk about it paired with another show real quick. I'm as caught up as I am legally allowed to be with Moonlit Fantasy, and very upset that I can't watch more of it until the other podcast does an episode. Moonlit Fantasy and Spirit Chronicles are like baby's first Slime and Shield Hero. Like, if someone gave me those before Slime and Shield Hero, I'd be like, this is really good. But having watched Slime and Shield Hero, I go, oh, the premise where you befriend monsters and give them names to power them up. Wow, that's just Slime, huh? That's a little funny. And watching Spirit Chronicles and going, oh, you're an outcast who's befriending the Beast People, and you have to go on your own because no one likes you in the original place you're from. Ah, shit, you're just Shield Hero.
Shit, that's just high school.
It's that too. But, like, they're both really good. They both do things I really like, besides the fact that the main character of Spirit Chronicles is now Kirito. His outfit, his sword, it's just Kirito. He's literally just rocking the cloak and sword. If you look up any poster picture, you'll see it. He's literally just in Kirito's outfit. It's really funny. But I like them both a lot. I'm kind of happy they're not on this side of the podcast, because I would be just filtered with isekai garbage, and I wouldn't be able to decide which one should be where on this scale. And that 4 isekais that are of moderately good level would be too hard for me this season if I had to do it. And then I'm also as caught up on Duke of Death as I can be, and that one really hurts to not be able to watch any more of. I'm stuck on episode 4 of everything. And I will say, congrats, other side of the podcast. I would normally wait to give this opinion, but no, everyone gets to know. Mother of Goddess's Dormitory has forced me to watch it on ×2 speed, and even then I kind of just want to skip through the episode. It is garbage. It is terrible. I was a defender in private conversation of we shouldn't kick a show off before the podcast starts just because you think it's close to porn. I do, however, think that we shouldn't have allowed it because it is just child pornography, and we should not be. The moment when they sexualize the 12-year-olds and just the 12-year-olds in a one-on-one scene makes me go, yeah, no, this has to go. And I really hope the podcast gets its shit together and decides we can't meme BS that one any longer past that week, or I might have a problem. So Alex is gonna have a stark compatriot. I would have voted off last week.
She's not 100 years old. We have to vote her off.
She is 12. And it's a shame, because some of the other, like, plot stuff around those characters is actually okay. But the moment that they become sexualized, they have a Mao Chiki scene where they're in the nurse's office. And yeah, if you've watched Mao Chiki or know anything about it, you can understand that goes too far when the characters are 12. So that show needs to go. Otherwise, that's all I've done anime-wise. In terms of other content, I'm back on my Yu-Gi-Oh! Bullshit. I have a friend who has a server up, and they're like, yeah, we don't really like playing the current meta, because combo's too combo, and controls too oppressive, because combo's too oppressive. So we're just like, what if we don't play hand traps and don't intentionally play really busted shit? And I'm kind of like, so you're telling me I can play Pendulum Yosenju without having to worry about never getting a card to come out on the field? You're telling me I can fuck around with Galaxy Photon and maybe try to make it playable? It's not playable. Oh god, I wish it was.
No, that card is so close to being playable, but it's just not.
I could go into the logistics of why Galaxy Photon isn't a playable deck live on stream, but I don't think anyone but me and Mason wants to hear that.
Me and Michael right now, just like...
This is what happened when I brought up JoJo at the end of last podcast, but it's always Mason. Mason's always involved in these. I'm also really...
Dodge only that far into Breath of the Wild.
I'm really excited, Michael.
I'm very far in Breath of the Wild, Michael. I have 16 hearts, I have the Master Sword, and I finished 3 of the Divine Beasts.
Good. Michael,
I feel like you didn't finish all 4 like first.
I've done over 70 shrines, Michael.
Michael, I am really excited because we're getting really close to being back on campus, and that means you can play Danganronpa V3.
Yes.
And I'm feeling it in my bones, and I'm like, please, you gotta play it. You gotta understand why I have to hide so much from you in relation to that game.
You've reminded me. I still need to play. I still need to play 2 V3 and 3 and watch 3.
We finished the 3 watch. The 3 watch was something. You have to follow
3
the
is
proper
such
order.
good anime.
Okay.
You know, some people are like, what anime watch orders are dumb. You can watch Fate in any order, stuff like that. You have to watch Danganronpa 3 in a very particular order.
Don't you start with Despair and then go to Future and then bounce back and forth?
Yep. No, wasn't it Future Despair? I'll double check.
Yeah,
I'll double check
it's
before
Future
you
Despair.
start.
Yeah, it's Future Despair. It's Future Despair through
Same
them.
shit.
Then once Despair is done, you do Hope.
Yeah. So you start
yeah.
Future, you do Despair. Despair will finish before Future will. You'll finish Future, and at the end you watch Hope.
Isn't it like you watch episode 1 of Future and then watch episode 1 of Despair and just bounce back and forth between the two?
And you have to do that. If you do not do that, it ruins a lot of the watching experience.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Okay.
I could not imagine.
The only other technically possible way is to watch Future first. But I still think it works significantly better to flip back and forth.
It was
you cannot watch Despair first. It is not possible to watch Despair first. That completely ruins Future.
Is a mistake. Yeah, outside of that, I've been trying to nuzlocke Pokemon games, and I'm just bad and having bad runs. I'm still doing Flawless Platinum. because I don't feel like doing Renegade yet, because I don't want Renegade to kick my teeth in.
I don't know what Lost Platinum is, but
It's a ROM hack.
It's just an enhancement hack that drops all the Pokemon up to Sinnoh in, and it buffs a couple and changes a couple of things in it. Some of those changes I don't like. I've grown accustomed to hating.
As in makes Farfetch the strongest Pokemon.
I mean,
in the game.
It does legitimately buff a couple of other Pokemon. Like you can legitimately use Kricketune and Ladian effectively, and they're really good.
Like what Emerald Kaizo did for Sunflora.
Yeah,
and gave it growth.
Exactly, but like,
and made it the best early game.
Like,
and Emerald Kaizo also made Sableye one of the strongest Pokemon in the game, which isn't a smart choice in my opinion.
I don't think
to
it's
give
that great.
It just
it is like the highest based out total of non-pseudos in EK.
It doesn't have a lot to work with though.
It doesn't do anything though. Like
that's its big thing.
Other than it's like base 300 fucking special.
Swellow, however, early Swellow is fucking nuts.
Yeah.
It's just Guts is nuts.
Guts
Swellow has a high enough speed to just solo carry like the first 5 gems basically.
Primeape though? No, but Pokemon wise, I'm bad. I like a lot of the changes it makes. By far, my least favorite one is Gyarados in its entirety. Everything about Gyarados in that ROM.
It's so required in every fucking Nuzlocke.
Gyarados is Water Dragon, which might sound good, except it doesn't get any good damaging Dragon type moves until
now
super
it's weak
late.
to ice.
It gets Twister, which is not good. It doesn't do enough damage. Dragon Rage, I feel, always is just better. Losing the flying type means bounce isn't stab, and you can't do earthquake strats in double battle with it. It just feels wrong. And I just find myself never using, like, I just find my Gyarados sitting until I have to, like, Dragon Rage something to get through.
Or you're saying to intimidate, yeah.
However, they added additional abilities, so it's no longer a guaranteed intimidate on Gyarados. Magikarp can roll Water Veil, which will then turn into Anger Point, which frustrates me immensely. Because not only am I boxing my Gyarados for a lot of the run, but even when I bring it out, there's a 50-50 chance, is what it feels like, that it's just not going to be Intimidate. I had to run with three Intimidate mons, and none of them were Gyarados.
Get better. I don't know. Just roll better.
Imagine
this is why when I do Nuzlocke, it's just going to be generic games that are hard. Like, just regular Platinum, which is hard enough as it is.
I beat Emerald and was like, I don't really want to play regular Platinum. I've played enough of it.
Just do the Radical Red Hardcore Nuzlocke that got updated. It's now fucking insane.
Wanted to do something before I get to, like, the Dre and
Kaizos.
Yeah, and the Kaizos to kick my teeth in. So
Kaizo Emerald.
But yeah, that's me though. That's what I've been doing. What's everyone else up to? This has been I've got a lot done this week.
My stuff is relatively short. I have been doing a bit more of Haikyuu Season 2, but not a whole lot. I have been working so much. So much. I started Mobile Suit Gundam Iron Blooded Orphans.
The only one I hear is good. Which I know is a lie, but that's the one that everyone's
Double
like,
if you don't like it.
Double O is fine. Double O is actually solid. Season 2 kind of sucks, but like it's fine.
The movie kind of meh too.
The movie sucked.
Funny.
Iron Blooded Orphans though is genuinely pretty solid. At least as far as the first episode tells me.
It's gonna be my jumping point for Gundam.
It's a good starting point. I've watched a bit of it before, but like it was when it was coming out. So I'm now like actually sitting down and I'm going to watch through it. I'm a little mad because it's on Funimation, but only in English. There is no Japanese, which is annoying, but fine. It's fine because Johnny Young Bosch voices one of the main characters, which is very cool.
That man in mechs, bro, can't escape.
What else? I've been playing just so much Final Fantasy XIV. Just because a couple of my friends have been getting into it. And it makes me happy because if you haven't heard, Final Fantasy XIV has a free trial up to level 60 that includes the base game. Yes.
Up to anything else, Nathan?
It includes the base game, Realm Reborn, and the first expansion pack, critically acclaimed Heavensward.
Wow, no way.
Yeah. And there is no time limit on it either.
Whoa, you sound like the entire one half of my Twitter timeline that only talks about 14.
Okay, but the game is actually good.
So I hear, I hear it's like the best thing to. And hey, with everything going on with Blizzard / Activision, why not hop to a company that kind of cares?
That's literally been the thing. Was like a lot of my friends that are starting it recently they were playing either WoW or they were playing WoW Classic. And the WoW Classic players, their guild went boom, and they just got sick of it. So they were like, "Fuck it, I guess I'll play 14 because you've been bugging me about it enough." And the WoW players were like, "No, I've been hearing about this game and like fuck Blizzard Activision, so like I guess we're playing this game now."
Yeah.
Aside from that, I've been playing League. I'm actually doing okay in that. I've been playing some Runeterra, but not really. I've been getting back into Duel Links again, and God, that game is awful. But also, it has my favorite Yu-Gi-Oh deck I've ever played in it, and it's the deck that I play in Duel Links, which is Arrow Mages. Arrow Mages, the deck that can do literally everything and will kill you. Because you cannot kill it.
Never kill it. Its life point total gets insane.
Yeah. This is the game that starts you off at 4,000 life points, and I've gotten to, I think, close to 500,000.
That's a funny number.
Shoutouts to Duel Links for also having a very unique Forbidden Limited system, where instead of letting you run only one of a card, if it's at one, it means you can only run one copy of any card at one. Which is a really niche way to, like, limit certain decks.
Force diversity.
Yeah, by going, oh, hey, here's a staple is set at 2. You can play it and another card that's set at 2, or 2 of it. And then also going, oh, your deck archetype needs this particular core piece, well, guess what's at 2 now? Because it was too powerful. And it really does make players have to make that decision of really good, just basic general card, or key card to my archetype. And it leads to really cool innovation in a game that base Yu-Gi-Oh doesn't really have. Unfortunately, there are some people who are really good at base Yu-Gi-Oh and do a lot of great work in terms of deck construction, but also then they go, yeah, but I want to make money. And until they get bored of the deck that's making them money, they won't really experiment.
Yeah, that's the issue.
Thanks,
is like,
Dragon Link.
Base Yu-Gi-Oh is very odd in that
it has no set rotation.
It doesn't have set rotation, but it kind of does, because just as soon as a new set comes out, that will be the most broken garbage, because that's just kind of what Konami does. Where
they're gotta sell.
Woo.
Yep, because they gotta sell the new set, so therefore that set has to be more broken than the last one. And like, you could make the argument that like Magic does the same thing, but it's not to the same extent, because it's not like with Magic, it still has these decks are still the same, they just have a new toy. Versus Yu-Gi-Oh, where it's, okay, throw all that old shit out, we're getting this new shit in.
It's also because the most broken Magic cards will always be the first set. Because they didn't understand game balancing, so they just went, Force of Will,
you say
the Power
that,
9.
You say that, but some of the most busted cards in the game in Yu-Gi-Oh are still the first couple sets of cards.
So that is actually funnily
that's also
incorrect.
because Magic doesn't ban its entire. It banned a lot, but it didn't go. We're banning the entire first set essentially, like Yu-Gi-Oh did.
So Magic, we're gonna get into some fun stuff for a second. Magic has four main formats: Legacy, Vintage, Modern, and Standard. Standard is from the past 2 years.
You're ignoring the actual good one.
Commander.
You're ignoring EDH, the good one.
Yeah, Commander is the good one, but I'm talking about actual competitive formats.
The ones people should play.
Okay, but with, like, at least with Modern, which is the most played format, aside from maybe Standard if you want to count Arena play, Modern, since it doesn't have...
bullshit.
Since Modern doesn't have all of the first 4 sets of Magic in it doesn't have all the busted shit, I would like to remind everyone that doesn't, or inform everyone that doesn't know, a card that was printed in 2019 was played in the Vintage, which is every card from Magic ever. It was played in the Vintage World Championship in 2019, and it came out in 2019, and it led to someone dying to getting hit with a Black Lotus, which was the funniest fucking thing I've ever heard in my goddamn life. Because Black Lotus is the single most powerful card in Magic, and it also it's not a creature, it doesn't hurt you in any ways. someone turned it into a 3/3 elk and killed someone with it.
Oh my fucking yeah!
Thank you, Oko.
2019. Oko is 2019.
Yeah.
Fucking Christ!
Look, every card game has a problem with power creep. It's just a matter of how it tries to deal with it. That's the point we're getting at.
There's a reason Oko was banned in all of the formats.
My favorite thing was when the dev team was doing a stream with Oko on Arena, and they were playing with the card, and then they looked at it and they're like, "Wait, I don't remember that being on there. Wait, hold on. Wait, that's a plus, not a minus? Oh no."
Oko was a mistake.
Oko was a mistake. It got banned in literally almost every format.
Michael, what have you been up to?
Honestly, I couldn't fucking tell you.
Good.
I don't think I've really been doing. I mean, I watched Slime with you the one night. I've been watching the shows for this.
I tried to get him to watch anything else. We have so much he needs to finish.
Yeah, there's things I want you to watch, but you've watched none of those either.
Okay, like what? Log Horizon. Yeah, I know. Yeah,
well,
Dr.
One
Stone.
is Log
I know.
Watch season 3 of that.
Hanasaku Iraha, Iraduka the World
But
in
I
Colors.
haven't started those. That's the difference. You're 7 episodes through Babylon. You're through part of the first season of Kaguya. Finish them. They're good. The Babylon thing's debatable, but I want to talk to you about it.
The Kaguya one, you gotta finish that one.
Right?
Yeah, please finish that.
And then start reading it because it's actually really good.
I will finish things when I don't have work and an entire podcast to watch for.
Just read it at work, Fivehead.
I can't exactly do that as a cashier.
Sure you can.
Fucking
they don't treat you like a human anyway. What do they care?
You're not determined enough.
Well, Dosh, what have you been up to?
Played a fuck ton of Breath of the Wild. That game's really fucking good. Let me tell you. Holy
I'm learning things about that game on my revisit where I'm paying more attention to it, like the names of the divine beasts and how important they are, and the fact that I didn't catch some of
or how the names of all the moons are named after the people that they were, and
they anagram a lot of shit in the game that my non-huge Zelda timeline brain didn't catch at first. And...
see, here's the thing: I have no Zelda timeline knowledge, so that doesn't
Monopoly.
But I know it exists.
Monopoly.
Yeah,
take fucking notes, Reggie.
I do love the all the little my favorite part of the game so far in terms of the story has been the flashback scenes you get whenever you find the pictures, because it's just you're seeing this girl who's just growing up with such responsibility, who's just feels like she's letting everybody down basically, and it's just so sad, right? It's this is the most I've felt emotionally attached to a silent protagonist in a while, because he doesn't say anything. He doesn't really have much facial expression, but you can put your own words in there and the character just responds as if they did, right?
Switch is a new age for silent protagonists, in my opinion.
It's silent protagonists done right.
So, with Zelda, that is one of my favorite things, is so I haven't played Breath of the Wild, but I know I want to, but I don't have access to a copy right now, and that's money. And that game is still $60. However, two of my favorite Zelda games are Twilight Princess and Skyward Sword. And those two are some of the most amazing when it comes to characterization of Link, because they're actually plot driven as opposed to haha, go kill Ganon, nerd.
Yeah. And all the characters are great. I think Mipha's my favorite so far. She was great.
I will say,
I love Mipha.
without
I adore
spoiling anything for Mason, I think everything that happens once you set foot in Zora's domain might be one of the strongest environmental storytelling.
Oh my
ever.
God.
It's so good. It hurts
so
me
good.
On
Zora
replay,
is
I was
such a good region. Dude, Prince Sidone is my homie,
so
dude.
Good, dude.
Oh my God.
There's a reason there's a large community that ships him with Link.
Yeah,
dude,
he's such a bro.
I've heard he's fucking amazing. I've seen a little bit of the game. I saw basically the entirety of everything to do with the why can't I think of their name? Rivali.
Oh, Rivali.
Rivali.
The Ritos.
Yeah, the Ritos. I don't know why I'm like
well, they're only in one timeline.
Yeah, so I saw
only
pretty
in
much
the Wind Waker timeline before this, I believe.
Yeah, exactly. And I hate that game. But So I've seen pretty much everything to do with like the Ritos and their village, and then the Divine Beast that's related to Rivali.
Yeah, the Rito village I think does something similar, where it has kind of that lingering animosity towards Link, but the Zora domain takes it to a new level, and it's really well done.
The Zora domain is really bad. The Rito domain is kind of bad. Gerudo Village is just sexist, and then
the Gorons just don't give a fuck because they're the Gorons.
The Gorons are just they're living in fucking Death Mountain. What do they fucking care, dude?
The Gerudos have always been sexist, and also if they follow the same rules as like the Ocarina of Time timeline, then they also generally feel at fault a bit because Ganon was one of them. Ganondorf was like the one male.
I don't think they state that here because Calamity Ganon is more of like an ominous being in this than like a specific race per se.
Breath of the Wild takes place so far into the Zelda timeline. It's literally the farthest
it's 10,000 years in the future.
That the creators have even said, we are going to tell you where it falls, even though. Which to me means it's a convergence of the timeline.
We'll put it this way. Like Calamity Ganon is talked about as Calamity Ganon as far as 10,000 years in the past. He's referred to as Calamity Ganon with these divine beasts, meaning even before that is Zelda. So you're taking like tens of thousands of years in the future.
It would either have to be directly on the Wind Waker timeline for a couple of different reasons, or it's the convergence of all of them, because that's likely because it pulls so much stuff from everywhere.
It references every single timeline through naming of locations.
But
really good game.
Most connected to the Wind Waker timeline, but that's a whole other thing.
I played a lot of Breath of the Wild this week. It's really good. Friday morning at 1 a.m. I lost power and internet for about a day and a half. Came back on this afternoon,
issues.
Which is cool.
Basically,
which is
great. A couple of those too.
So I got home from work after the day because I worked the next day. So I got home from work and my dad had the generators up because my parents are on vacation for a weekend, which is good for them. But moved my Switch to the big TV upstairs and played Breath of the Wild for like 8 hours when I got home from work. And that was about it. And then it came back on today. Did some housework and stuff, and then played some League. My M leagues are going pretty well. My one league we finished tied for first. But we lost to the team that had first place. No, we were second place because they went 5-0 in groups. We went 4-1 in groups, only losing to the team that won the group, obviously. So we're a 2 seed, and like there's a weird bracket format for that. Our duo team is currently 3-0. We're Giga Swamping, and in OCL we are another 2 seed in a 12 team league, and that's going into playoffs this week. With a weird like winners. If we win this week. We'll be in top 3 guaranteed, basically, because it's double elimination except for finals. So that's going well. I touched Smash Ultimate because a friend asked me to play with her because I'm about the same skill level for the first time in months, and that was fun. And then, that's a lot of what I've been doing. I've been watching much besides this show. All my manga's on break this week, which sucks, but is what it is. And thought about getting back into Pokemon VGC and then looked at the Pikalytics, and man, I hate Incineroar. That Pokemon's really dumb. If you want to know some fun stats, right now Incineroar is used on 68% of teams.
Jesus.
Yeah, he's
followed by Rillaboom at 53% and Regieleki at 46%. That is absurdly high usage.
Yeah.
Like there is 6. You could make a team out of the top 6 Pokemon and you'd be one of 25% of players, because at least 23.8% of teams use Zacian Crowned, Landorus, Urshifu, Regieleki, Rillaboom, or Incineroar, or any combination of them. That's how broken those Pokemon is, because priority moves are really fucking dumb, and Fake Out is really fucking good in doubles. And also, non-Dynamax format isn't really healthy with the broken box legendaries you released. So yeah, that sucks. And then I looked at that and was like, maybe not. But I'm watching the Players' Cup Invitational, and Wolf Glick has a really cool team that uses Cherrim of all Pokemon.
Hell yeah.
He has a Cherrim Groudon team with Zapdos, Entei, Dusclops, and Incineroar, because you have to have at least one of those broken shits on your team.
Dusclops, let's go!
Dusclops is my favorite, dude. I'd probably
Dusclops carried me through an entire monotype tournament.
Dusclops got me to Master Ball tier with my my Ice Horse team that I made.
Imagine your 3rd stage evolution being really good, not because of it itself is good, because it lets you use it all.
Because you have a 3rd stage evolution, so you can use the fancy stone that makes your defense really good.
Yeah, the haha funny.
Eviolite really balanced.
Michael and I also did a thing It's probably the one thing Michael's done outside of anime.
Yeah, we played D&D. I forgot until like I was like,
did
oh
it,
shit,
and
I
I'm
did
sad.
that.
I want to play D&D.
They're level 4 now.
play
We got the
tomorrow.
first level. They are going. Michael got a little mad at me. He thought I was probably gonna kill them, but that was never the intention. Turns out Zills aren't a balanced encounter, but I knew that going into the fight with the Zill.
No, it's one of those things where I just feel like any enemy that can blink at the end, that it's a bonus action at the end of every turn, isn't a fair enemy to fight.
Especially
just
if it
at
has
all.
4 attacks and can paralyze you.
Yeah, phase spiders and Zills are even phase spiders are significantly less annoying, and I still think they're the most annoying thing you can throw into an encounter that isn't a Quickling at level 1.
Yeah, well, as they say in Breath of the Wild, there's valor in dodging.
So,
But
I'm
dodging
excited.
means if you dodge, it just hits you on one of its 4 attacks.
Sure.
2 of the people on our team are mages with low AC.
Sure. Maybe you shouldn't have summoned it. Whoops.
I'm excited because
Just
I
dodge
played
all of
D&D for the first time in like a month and a half. Ever
played
with
D&D.
one of my campaigns, and the last time we ran that campaign, we went from level 2 to level 4. We skipped 3 because we killed a level 8 death cleric. So
This is why I don't do XP.
EXP
because
leveling.
it wasn't XP leveling.
Oh,
It
it's
was just one of those things
so,
where
so
they were
good.
like,
Well, I
It
guess
was
you
if,
one
did
of-
this,
I
here's
guess
a
if
level.
you kill something that you're legally not supposed to and it skips a lot of the things story-wise, you would have to level them up
That's
more than
literally
that
what it was.
Yeah.
It was.
I would
he-
also have had
my-
to have done that.
My DM went, "You were not supposed to kill him. I guess you're level 4 now, and you also get access to all the shit that he had, including 5 living statues of chromatic dragons." So,
Well, did you guys know we're an anime podcast?
oh right, yeah, we are.
Mason!
Well, Sean, you also watched the first episode of Eden. You didn't talk. about
Oh
it.
yeah,
Moving
I
on.
totally missed I know this is
This is
an
an
anime
anime.
point. I did watch the first episode of Eden. I now understand where Mappa's budget is and why it's not in Remain. Eden and Deities. I described this to Michael. Action, it is Dragon Ball Z. Tone, it is Hellsing Ultimate.
I mean,
I literally only think that because of the way they close episode 1, which is yeah, I have to say it, it's a rape scene, but they do it in an art. It's so hard to describe it like this, but it does it in like a Hellsing Ultimate artistic way, where you're like, oh, this is terrible, but this is also a seinen, so I've signed up for this, and your presentation makes me not want to gouge my eyes out. I appreciate that. It literally is meant to be a God has left you. They no longer hear your cries kind of moment. And Itaden doesn't really... Itaden just does it with, like, shadows and portrays it as, like, a dancing scene. But it's very clear what's going on.
Oh yeah, that scene.
I would say...
I had forgot that scene
I
happened,
would say
not
it puts
gonna
me
lie.
off of the show. But again, it's a seinen. I know it's gonna be dark. It hits all the right clicks for a shonen for me right now. I'm ready to watch the rest of it. I hope it's gonna be good. But
let me know when you guys are doing that. I would like to join in if you're cool with it.
absolutely, Michael
Yeah,
has to be
true.
free to watch anime.
It's
Yeah.
the same.
But Mason, Vanitas.
Vanitas.
Vanitas
That was a
is-
show.
On
So,
on everybody's list, it's taken a dive.
so this
Last
week's
week was too
episode-
fucking good.
Yeah, so last week's episode was really good. This week's episode was still good, but it didn't have that same like holy fuck kind of energy to it. It also
rapey this week.
yeah, it was less rapey. It also I love so my notes got deleted because my computer crashed after watching this episode, which is very unfortunate. But I still remember most of what happens. I specifically remember there's a point where Vanitas shows up after like Noe is getting his shit kicked in by Charlatan. And Noe looks at him and goes, "Hey, is that blood on your neck?" And Vanitas goes, "I don't kiss and tell." Which is it's the most Vanitas line I think has been uttered in this show yet. But like this whole episode was a lot of okay, random shit happens. They're trying to get away. Veronica's crazy. Ruthven shows up, and he reminds me entirely of Master Cross from D. Gray Man. And then he takes them in when Noe is he's a sleepy boy. He's done a lot for the day. He needs a good rest. And Ruthven also makes sure that the vampires don't absolutely murder Vanitas for existing. And then Noe and Vanitas have a good old-fashioned fight, kind of, on a bell tower, and then they make up and they do their good, like, dynamic, I hate you more, like, shit-talking one another. That's what happens this episode.
That was the real sexual tension this episode.
It really was. Also, Ruthven is Luca's uncle, which was an interesting development.
They've told us, because they've dropped his name in the previous episodes. We just haven't met him, and we knew he was big because of the way that Vanitas reacted to hearing the name.
Yeah, and it turns out he is a senator for the Council of Vampires that, like, run the vampire world. Also something that they kind of alluded to it, but, like, they actually put it into words this week, but the way that vampires do their magic thing, like Veronica with her ice, is that they're legitimately rewriting formulas of existence.
Mm-hmm.
Which was pretty fucking cool.
Which it also seems like the Book of Vanitas does to some degree, because it has that same constellation.
It is an analytical engine in a book. Yeehaw! I like that word. It's a fun word.
For those who didn't know, by the way, the mangaka for Vanitas also did Pandora Hearts, which I think is important to note because that's gonna track a lot of things about the characters and how much energy they give of they're gonna kiss, aren't they? At times,
but they are very gay. That kind of energy,
but then don't.
Yeah.
Yeah, they've done a couple of things, but their big two ones are Pandora Hearts and this. Like when this got announced, like, because I did some looking into it, this was like a very big deal that they were doing this.
Also, there was just a point when they're in the bell tower and they're fighting, like, he's just holding Vanitas' arm with a knife, and there's a point where it does like a close up of Noe's face where it's just like a torso shot, and he looks straight out of a yaoi anime.
I really wanted to use that shot for the screenshot because it's right before the one I picked. They do like 2 shots of it too, so they knew what they were doing.
Yeah, they did it twice where they they go to him and then they cut to something like our current one, like our current screenshot, and then they cut again to his face, and it's like, okay, just have them make out already.
You know, Ruthven's really cool.
Yeah.
Also, thanks. You give us the ice and fire characters. Love to see it. Get them all out of the way now.
Yeah, as you do.
For sure, this is an odd episode for me because it's one of those. Yeah, stuff happens, but also nothing really happens. Where just like when you think about what all happens in this one episode, you go, really, that was it, and then you realize the significance of it all. This episode also ends on an odd note, where it feels like this should be the end of like an episode 12 leading into the second half of its show. But it's episode 6, so it's leading into the second half of the first half of its show. Which feels really odd, but I think Vanitas has earned the right to do that, with how it sets it up. I will also say that, man, they're really kind of changing the dynamic of the whole I killed Vanitas, that we got in episode 1, and now it's more of a, it's kind of my fault he's dead kind of tone to it at the end of this episode. In my opinion, that's what it felt like to me.
So there were 2 things that I remember specifically that like were of note to me. One, we got again the thing where we got the name of that formless shape. It's Namia, I believe. Which that's interesting. We also got the whole thing with they turn into a female form again for Noe, which is really weird, and I'm kind of put off by it, and I don't know what to think of it. Also, there was a random bit in the middle of it where they get to that staircase again, and a bunch of vampires surround them and go, let's just kill him. We gotta kill him. And then they cut again, and then the vampires aren't there anymore, and it was really just weird to me. I will say I was also a little high while watching this, so if I'm being
they
honest,
attacked him, and then they just like he did like the one leg sweep that took them all out.
yeah,
Attack.
yeah, but there were like 8 of them, and he hit 3 of them in that leg sweep, and then they were just gone.
I don't like that they don't explain to us in a good enough way to understand whether. Because the implication to me isn't that Vanitas killed everyone. He doesn't have to do that. The implication is he probably cured most of them. And the only one it seems like he couldn't save was the girl at the end.
Yeah.
At which point,
no, she explicitly says she was too far gone.
At
they
which
start turning
point,
into beasts, they have to.
Please God, any vampire, open your fucking ears or eyes and ask me the question of, sure, if you think he's the one who caused this, who do you think's curing them too? You think he's just having a good time cursing and uncursing your folk? I might believe
really
that.
Be that surprised with
No,
Vanitas, to be fair.
absolutely not.
Yeah, have you
but,
seen this man?
But they don't even consider him curing them, which is my point. It's like, what do they think's happening?
It's because he's human. It's because he's human.
I did also really enjoy, by the way, that bit where where Vanitas kind of goes into doctor mode of, we're not saving this person. We're just extending their suffering. Also, if they stick around, they're going to curse more people. We're just going to kill this now. And Noe first getting pissed about it and then realizing, no, that was just the objectively correct thing to do. Yeah. Like, that was a nice, like...
I mean, I think he was pissed because he's like, oh, Vanitas is going against what he said. But in reality, Venus is just purely true to his word, no matter what. He's like, I'm going to save the vampires.
That was an extremely good touch of following up on no, Vanitas will do whatever he needs to, and he's never said he's a good person for it.
I mean, yeah, I think one of the best parts of this episode is Nori waking up and going to Vanitas and going, sorry, I've been pushing what I want and my expectations of you onto what you've been doing, and you very clearly were never going to do that. So once again, I hate your fucking guts, but I'm going to come with you to do what I want now. And they've, like, clearly defined that part of their working relationship, as we can call it, which is very important for this show. It also makes me go, man, Nori, if you knew everything this man's been doing, you would strangle him. You would just take that book and figure it out yourself, because, oh boy.
Not if little brother does it first. You know what I'm saying? Are we gonna cut back to Jean in a minute here? Like, that was some tense stuff going on. Like, are we gonna talk about that?
No, she came in, took the kid away, and then he came back and
an interrogation, and then we're cut to the bell tower. I'll say though, Domi got me like, damn, at the start of this one.
The sword, though.
The sword with the skirt. Ooh, just cutting the dress, get some little leg freedom there.
Yeah, I was in on that. Also, just Domi just is a genuinely, like, solid character to me, just because of the fact of, yeah, she is kind of this show's fan service, but she also is constantly doing what she feels is right for Noe. And she's never really, like, gone off of that. Like, everything she's done has been for the sake of either protecting Noe or dealing with a problem that might affect Noe in the future, and I do really enjoy that.
When she's just living up to the other show that said the best thing you can get is an One-san.
Hey, be nice. You don't need to call Vanitas a problem. He is, but we can call him by a name.
Okay, so he's not a problem.
Yes,
but
we can be real about it. He's definitely a problem to some
people. He's a problem
and the solution.
But also, it made sense for her to do the shit in the previous episode because it was, who the fuck are you?
Oh yeah, for sure.
You're fucking with my man.
Don't touch my boy.
I need to know that you're not going to get him into a situation that's going to be bad.
Michael.
I don't really have any particularly strong feelings either way about this episode, which is why it dropped to like number 4 or whatever for me. I think like last week was really good, and this week was kind of just like, it's a good show. I enjoy it. I can't drop the show that far because it still had a bunch of really good episodes before this, but like
for sure,
this week was just fine. I enjoyed what we got, but I had no.
I think my favorite shit about this show is the eyes are always really, really fucking pretty. On every character, especially like Veronica, she like the star eyes.
Yeah.
But one of my notes also just like no matter what situation Vanitas is in, he always has that shit-eating grin on his face. Even when he's like encased in ice, he's like, finally death, hooray!
However,
But
the scene
show's
where
really good.
Ruthven dissolves the ice, it lingers on the shot of the ice going away, and Vanitas is framed in the middle of it, and he's just so upset. Like, there's no smug, like, he's just like,
This is boring.
someone who has an official power that I have to deal with who's not gonna take my shit, huh?
Yeah.
Just gonna let
It's
me
like,
go.
shit, I'm stuck in one of these scenarios again, huh?
Bum, 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 bum.
I like this show a lot, but I definitely think compared to the shows I have above it, there was more to be desired. But also compared, I'm gonna talk about remake later. I definitely preferred this over remake this week. So there, between these four are definitely. Whoops, I made a bad call last week. These four are definitely the top four, and I don't really think anything's chancing on breaking into that anymore.
Yeah, no.
I had
agree
hopes,
there.
but my hopes were dashed.
I don't know, man. What's your thoughts of Uramichi? Maybe it sneaks up there.
Let's, Michael.
Hey, I'm not twice in a row anymore.
Oh.
Yeah,
Sweet.
finally, we're almost at the point where no one's twice in a row anymore. By the end of this week, it won't happen. It'll be great.
Yeah, and I'm in the early game now, so it's great.
Mike.
So this is
Dungeon.
dungeon, right?
Yep,
Because I can't have the stream open or else my computer actually
that's
explodes.
okay. So
Yeah.
everyone else, I believe, either kept it or raised it. I'm the only one who dropped it this week.
I was going to.
Mine is also flipped, so oh yeah, you did it. Sweet. Thank you.
So dungeon this week, it was fine. It wasn't nearly as good as last week's episode, in my opinion, because
No.
last
Yeah.
week's was just spectacular. But we had some fun times this episode. Can't fucking why is my brain blanking on what the fuck happened in these shows?
We got the three ravens and their clever
yeah.
schemes that
Yeah,
don't
we
go
have the three
unabated at
ravens.
all.
God, that was
And I
so
mean,
dumb.
I enjoyed the stuff with the 3 years. I think they were goofy. It was like, oh wow, this person goes to do this thing, and of course he's gonna do it correct. He's gonna be fine, and
Think so.
whatever. And
And also,
I enjoyed
no,
the slight
it's
twist
a
they have
trap.
with the yeah, I enjoyed the slight twist we have with the hashtag anime glasses character, because
So
he has this whole
fucking
plan and he doesn't even get to even start his plan because
Yeah.
he's just blown
With
away
no
by
information.
this person that has a dick that he didn't think had a dick.
His reaction
was-
is probably the best part of this episode.
I was cringing the entire time he was on screen
Oh yeah,
because of that shit.
so
Like-
good. They wrote him to be so good in terms of me not wanting to ever look at his face.
Yes.
Man, they do glasses characters so dirty half the time. They're either super tacticians, evil captains, or complete fucking virgin perverts.
Or all
and there's
of the
no
above.
in between.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, or there's all of the above.
Oh,
I mean,
man.
I enjoyed the bit with Ninomiya and I can't remember the fucking
Rango?
purple haired. With
It's
with
Rango.
the two of them in the bath,
Rango.
and Ninomiya Ninomiya stands up and Ron goes, "Wow, that's a big dick."
Damn!
And Yumiya's like, "What are you talking about? You got one too." And he's just like, not like that.
Well,
No.
No.
I mean, technically, sure, but
Hey, word around
Um,
the office is you got a fat
yeah.
cock.
yeah,
I
also at
do.
the end of this episode, we finally get to meet Rum,
damn, son, you piss loud.
Rim's sister.
So one thing there was something I
didn't
really
even think about
enjoyed.
that.
There was something I
He looks like
really
Rim.
enjoyed.
but gray/brown-ish.
Dark skinned elf.
Dragon.
So
He's
one
a
thing I
dragon,
really
but he's like
enjoyed.
Rim.
Yeah, I know, but like it's the trope.
Dark-skinned elf.
The thing I really enjoyed, there was just so with the worm thing showing up, how Rim beats the shit out of it, and the worm wants to join. There's just a small, tiny bit of dialogue where Rim uppercuts the fuck out of it, and there's a shot of Ninomiya talking, and meanwhile in the foreground, Rim just goes, "Oh yeah," and I thought it was so
Yeah.
fucking cute. And I hate that I hated this character at the beginning, and now I find it fucking
Rim
adorable.
is the best character
She's
in
so
every
good.
scene she's
'Cause
in.
if you
In the
pay
opening, she
attention-
has a scene too where she's just like,
Yeah, just
You gotta pay
Oh,
attention to her all the time because she's in the background doing dumb shit in every scene.
oh, it's
she's in.
so good. Also, her like speeding around in the hot springs at the beginning is so good as well.
Bathe yourself, filthy child.
clean yourself first.
This episode just has really solidly written characters. Like, it just took a bit for us to get to the point where we got to see all of their sides, and they just dick around and it's fun.
Was
My
anyone else
problem-
really, really, really fucking bored with the Alice in Wonderland shit?
Welcome. It did
Yeah.
episode 3 again with the mind control thing, where this did not feel like we had to do this to get the point you're getting across. Yeah, by far.
Yeah, I was
a
hard confused for a
downswing.
solid 5 minutes.
Yeah,
of this
same.
episode is that.
I was fast forward through that.
I'm also real upset with the way this episode ends because I like when this show does the parody thing, but this feels like it's falling onto its own narrative crutch of, well, Neomiya, you've done what you can do here, time to send you somewhere else. And this is just
Fair.
gonna be back in time, is my feeling. We're just sending him back in time to get to the rest of the cast, which I'm fine
need
with.
you to
I want
save
the
the
rest of
world.
the cast back.
Yeah. So I will say one thing I did enjoy about the White Rabbit bit was the fact of it explained the whole Ranga has a tragic past thing and actually gave us like a reasoning for why they're so fucked up. And it's, hey, literally everyone in this world hates them because they're a descendant of the dumb bitch who destroyed the world.
My argument is, could you not have just shown us the mech fight? Watch as the Gundam shot the beam in their head and then blanked us out so we didn't have to watch Rib destroy the Gundam like we knew was gonna happen, but then also
Yeah.
still giving us that backstory without dropping us into Alice in Wonderland bullshit. Which, like,
Yeah.
this is this show's thing. It does dumb shit like this. So I get it. It's just, this is one of the ones where I'm like, you could have given me this exact same information in a way that I...
At least
Wanna
the show
watch.
gives us the information,
That's
unlike
true.
another show on our list that we'll
That's
get
true.
to.
I'm really excited. If it's what I think, I'm excited. I have lots of notes.
Yeah, Dungeon's okay. Like, in hindsight, probably should have put it at 7. But again, I don't have notes for like half these shows because I couldn't make notes because I wasn't on my computer. And I watched all of them today, like on my phone. So like I watched the ones I watched today was like Peach Boy Girlfriend, Urmichi, and Dungeon. And like, for me, like, I was like, Sean might kill me if I don't put Dungeon a little higher. And last week's episode was
No,
good.
you
Rin's
could
kind of
drop
funny.
it. Nope, you could.
But, yeah, this week I probably should have dropped this to 7. But
I'm trying to be. I'm trying
that's
to be
what it is.
real. I'm trying not to be lenient with the power rankings this week. This season for me now. We're at the point where I'm like, if I don't like a show, it's dropping.
I'm still at the point where like
Uh,
anything below 4, I just don't
Yeah.
care where I place it to the most part.
For
Yeah.
reference, for me, there's a
um,
very clear line. 7 to 5. 7 to 5. It can kind of shuffle around, and I
Yeah,
don't care. For
like,
me,
Don't get me wrong, like Dungeon's still getting a vote this week regardless, but like I felt
I don't
like
know if I'll go
it's
that
it's
far.
it's on an upper swing for me, but I it's a show I wouldn't mind not watching if that makes sense.
Oh, for
like,
sure.
I'm not gonna like actively try to get the show off the podcast because it's not bad. It's entertaining. I like Ninomiya, obviously like Rin MVP. But yeah, if we don't bring back the rest of the cast, it's like okay,
I
like
have to imagine the plot point is you have to save
Yeah.
the whole world. To do so, you must go back and
you got to go back and take over the company.
Yeah.
and defeat Big Titty Sister.
Oh my god.
Hey, you
and
must
then
go
he
fight my grandma.
And then
who
he's
is
gonna
the
realize he
capitalist.
doesn't want to leave because he likes
Well,
this world.
Well, no, the whole point is he's gonna try to conquer the world. He's not gonna save it. That's never what he does. He's just gonna try to replace the evil with a bigger evil.
No,
him.
he just wants people to work for him so he can just relax and chill. He's just a NEET who wants to chill, but he works really hard so he can be a powerful person. So he can just chill.
He doesn't work hard. He makes other people work hard for him.
Like
He
CEOs of
thinks
hospitals.
hard. He does think
He
hard.
has. I really do like a lot of his intellect. We get to see a lot through a lot of
Yeah.
the show. They do a good job
Like-
of displaying him as smart.
They did that. That was one thing I really enjoyed about the worm bit was like, oh, we have a worm working for us now, and we need to make these crops grow. Fucking till the fields with it.
Yeah, and always start with potatoes. Potatoes literally can
Yeah.
fucking grow if you
In
throw them into a
anything.
rock.
Yeah, exactly. Like he is a smart guy, and that's how he's a good main character. Is he's never been like for how buff he is, he's not actually strong. And yeah, I do really enjoy him as a main character because he reminds me so fucking much of Joseph Joestar.
I expected him meeting the Demon Lord to be some like dumb bullshit where it was
Nope,
like
it's Hot
him.
Dark Elf.
Do
Like,
you
I
think
expected
he
it
was
to be
gonna
like
walk
him,
in
but
there?
and he was gonna be like, and the Demon Lord would have just been him as like a lich or
Ah.
something, or just him
I
older.
thought you were gonna say it was gonna be Wanabe after he was abandoned and he went full
That
mad
would also been
crazy.
funny.
That would
as
have been
fuck.
great.
I was
That's what
hoping.
But Wanibe's not smart enough to have gotten
I
there
was
by
hoping it
himself.
would have just like hit us with like the bum 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 bum. We'll be right back. Like they're just not there. It's just a we'll be right back.
Yeah, that was
Back in
like
5 minutes on lunch break.
this showed us a lot of fun, quirky things that I do really like. Calling the giant mech a mobile suit like
Football suit,
it's
yeah.
really good. Like the show knows what it's making fun of when it does it, and that's why I enjoyed those parts of it. But for sure, like this week to me was like a whatever.
Eh. Yeah.
I'm gonna go last on this, so you guys all feel free. Dodge, it's your show. All of you have
I
fun.
thought-
Talk about girlfriend.
I thought Girlfriend was fucking hilarious this week. Personally, I really enjoyed it. I think the characters were hitting. I think we get backstory a little bit with Blonde Girl, like, and I like how they're introducing her to the group in that like it wasn't like her forcing her way inside to a degree. She's still like outside, and she was trying to make him fall in love with her, but now she's just like, oh fuck, I actually like this guy. Shit, fuck. I don't know. I kind of like this episode. I don't have too many notes on it because I couldn't write notes when I was watching this. But I thought they did a good job of like developing her character and like explaining how she fell in love with him to a degree, right? While also not forcing him to like her, right? I think it's good that he's loyal to his two girls for the most part, and is just a good boy for the most part.
Something I thought I made a note of that I thought was an interesting take was this show was for at least this episode is doing the opposite of Remain, where it's Remain has the work on things to get a date and not a debt, and this show has work on things to get a debt and not a date. Because that's literally what happened. It's like, I will literally pay you to fuck off.
I will pay you to leave. Please, just go away.
I will say I
Uh.
really enjoyed this episode of Girlfriend. I don't know exactly what it was, but I think as Dodge said, all the characters were hitting right, the comedy was hitting right. I think this does a really good job explaining the turmoil that's going on in our main character's head. That he understands he's two-timing, and he knows that it's wrong. And he wants to devote all of his time to his two girlfriends because he doesn't want either of them to feel left out. And also the idea that he understands that he's not a good person sometimes. Because Nagisa went up to him, and he immediately went, fuck, I want to date her. Which is why he's trying so hard with Milika, which I really liked that entire bit where he explains that.
He knows he's a weak person, so he's like, don't
give me the
don't
temptation
let this
because I know
slowly
it will
wear away
happen.
at me, please, because I might try to force this and I'd feel bad.
Also, my favorite thing, this had one of my favorite bits of comedy in this show so far, and it was literally just while he's talking to Milika and her dad, Nagisa and Saki are losing their goddamn minds in the background.
That looks like a girl in love. Yeah, I'm thinking the same thing. Oh no, this is getting bad. We
Oh,
gotta
no.
now. Dad, go! Dad, go! Dad, take her! Go! Get.
Also, the music was just really solid this week. On like all of the like big scenes, it hit exactly how it needed to.
I wouldn't know about that. I watched this on ×2 speed.
Yeah, so you missed the good shit that happened.
Oh, the soundtrack! What a shame.
Oh, you missed all the fucking gags, like in slow motion.
Ugh.
See, I watched that 0.5 seed so I can really take it in.
Yeah, you know.
Take in my trash harm. Oh man, it's not again. Unfortunately, still not the best polygamy show of the season. But I think it's enjoyable. It's just funny, stupid comedy, and I think I need that in my life a little bit sometimes. That's why it's just the jokes hit better than Uramichi this week. That's why it's above that. And I think Black Company should be below Uramichi now. But overall, I think I stand by my ranking so far. It was good. Sean, why do you hate the show?
Firstly, because this is by far one of the things that gets on my nerves the most. Oh, you guys are over here and you're like, I'm so happy that the plot is now not she's trying to get him to like her. It's she likes him. That's the same fucking shit every other girl has, and they still haven't explained why anyone else likes him. It's the most infuriating thing for me for this show to go, yeah, we're just gonna take this character who is different from the rest of her cast, and instead of doing something new with her, we're just gonna put her in the same slot as the other two. And
Okay, the other two, they did explain why they like them. They didn't
No.
explain. Well, they didn't explain the specifics why they like
No,
it, but they
we
explained
have
how
not
they
explained
like
why
them.
Nagisa likes him. We understand
Wasn't there,
Saki
like- wasn't there
because
something-
they have been friends for
So,
their entire
Didn't they
life.
have a
At
flashback with him helping
at a-
Nagisa or something in like the early episodes? I think.
But we have like a 3-second flashback. I
At a-
understand Sean's point with Nagisa.
Yeah.
I can't believe I don't
also
understand what you
still
mean.
don't
We see
know
we see
anything
the
about
entirety of
Saki.
Milika liking him.
We
Yeah,
don't
we
know
literally
anything about
see-
Saki either, though. For that point too, like we know they're
Listen,
childhood friends.
When you
We're
hear
just
childhood
taking the-
friends, that's all you need.
Yeah, that's all you really.
The
anime.
idea is you just assume,
for
oh,
him,
childhood
sure.
friends.
But here's the reason why I want more
To the
from
point where they
that.
consider dating
Is
to begin with.
because for how many years Saki was vehemently no until the
Permanently
start of
no.
the show. So I would like to understand where the pivot comes from in that
I know where.
character's mind.
I know where.
Mhm.
I know where. Okay, so in anime, there's this thing called
Yeah.
sun deers, and it's a type of girl who is both abrasive yet very gentle at other times, and this is her
And-
character trope that she
and
represents.
Here's the thing. I'm a sucker for tsunderes. I hate both of our tsunderes in this show. The fact that I like Nagisa over both of them does not sit well with me as someone
So like, I don't understand what you're meaning about Milka though, because we literally see
So what's
exactly
what's
how
her,
she starts
what's
liking
her,
him.
why does she like him?
Because of the fact that he is actually true to what he's saying.
He's loyal.
He's loyal. He's impressing her with the amount that he is defending where he's coming from
And the girls that he's with.
and the girls.
And you know what really sucks? We've spent so little time with him and the other two, in my opinion, to really make that feel justifiable. And
But
on
wait,
top of
wait,
that,
wait,
and on
time out.
top of that,
I remember
what
2
is
weeks ago
going
you
to
were
happen?
complaining about how slow it was for introducing other characters.
No,
spent a lot
no,
of
I
the
said
first
I
4 episodes
wanted
with them.
more time with the two girls we had. That was my opinion 2 weeks ago. I didn't like moving Milika in this soon, and I still don't. I also don't like the fact that one of the core reasons she likes him and is going to like him is going to fly out the window in the upcoming episodes. Because she's just gonna get added to this. And I, like, everything you guys really like about his character, for one, like, in this episode, I think has always constantly been here. The past 2 episodes have continuously been him going, yeah, I'm a 2-timing scumbag. And I don't enjoy that bit anymore. I
I
don't,
respect the hustle.
like, at some point, I've desensitized him. I'm like, yeah, I know you're a 2-timing scumbag. Make it 3 already. Just go for
I
it.
agree. I don't like the main character very much, but he is a good driving force for the like main like overall plot of the show to me. Like he has
So-
to be there to make the show work.
The thing with me is like, I get not liking it, but at the same time, I feel like you can't really fault it for that either because of the fact that at the very least, they're making him consistent. And
Yeah.
you kind of need the consistency with this kind of show because if you just kind of flip the script on him, what's the point? Like you're not,
Yeah.
you're
Oh.
just going to have them leave.
I don't have an issue with him. Like, I understand the role he has to play. And I just don't find the, like, you guys were saying, like, him being like, well, I know I'm a 2-timer, but I won't be a 3-timer, and really enjoying that bit. For me, it just falls on deaf ears because he's been doing it the whole time, and she's gonna wind up in the group anyway, and there's gonna be 3 of them. So, like, this is, to me, prolonging the inevitable for just interactions that I don't find enjoyable.
See,
For
I'm holding out
character
hope that he
justifications I
remains
just don't like.
just a 2-timer. That's my thought of this. Is like I'm holding out hope that he remains the 2-timer. If he goes on to 3-timing, that slightly defeats the purpose of his character. I agree.
Yeah,
He's
I agree
already
with
kind of
that.
moving towards it. Like, he's defending her.
No, he's
To the point-
defending her,
But
because
he
he's defending her
never
as a
shows
person.
attraction to her. He's showing that he's a good person because he doesn't think she's a bad person.
You can state someone's
He's like-
attractive without being
Step
attracted
away.
to somebody.
This
Yeah.
to me just feels like the show is writing it so they don't have to outright say it. Like, they're just beating around the bush with it. And to me, that's no different than him just going, actually, yeah, I do like you.
Which I think makes the show better because it's
Ah,
the character. It's his character is to avoid causing more issues for these 2 girls. That's his main goal.
this just really does boil down to I don't like
That's
this
fair.
show, and
Yeah, that's fair.
so like
Yeah.
every point I'm gonna try to make is
And
not
this is-
gonna click because
And
you guys
unfortunately,
have
this
the
is the
complete
exact kind of
opposite view.
trash that I enjoy.
I know. So I mentioned to you all I'm on a mission. My mission is for this to go soon. I'm slaying
Fair.
this every week till it's gone
I think it's
because
getting close.
I really don't enjoy it, and I do think there are other shows that are putting in more effort to try to improve and be good that I think this show does, and I know you'll disagree with me on this point because I there is a very thin line I have of
I'd
there's
say
a show I
about
want to
7 other shows are putting in
there's a
effort.
show I want to go after this, and I know you guys don't agree with me on that point, but we'll get there when we talk about it. And my power
I think that's
ranking
fair.
obviously
No,
reflects that.
I think it's fair. I think it's fair to dislike the show. It's definitely like a very It's not good.
Yeah.
It's not a good show.
It is
But
So,
it's
like,
an entertaining
it-
show.
And that's the thing for me, right? That's definitely where I fall here is I don't think Girlfriend's a good show, and it's also not entertaining to me. So I think at least the shows that are good should go before the show that's not good. And like
I
that's
agree.
so yeah. Oh, and I know we
And there's
disagree
at
on
least
what
one
shows
other
that
show
are good.
that's very
Oh!
much not good.
For sure, I agree. There is at least one other show. I'm hoping that
We'll have an
there's
important
not
discussion
two
next week.
on the other one. I don't. Oh, I think one show's for sure going this week, and I think we
I think
all
one
know
show's
what it
for
is.
sure
Yeah, we
going
all
this
know
week.
And in
show
my
that
opinion,
is going
that's the
this
show
week.
that I think should go before this one. Hey Mason, talk to me about what Dash and I think is the best show of this week.
So Realist
I
Hero is a
wanna-
good isekai. It's just
I wanna
it's
read this
just
shit.
good.
I wanna read it so bad.
So this week we're no longer on Shokugeki no Soma, part
Two.
2, but in another world. We're talking about militaries. Yay!
Yay, political intrigue.
We're doing political intrigue, and it's done really well because they're like, hey, the Dukes fucking hate you because they don't understand what's going on. You just kind of rose to power with no notice sent out to anyone. Also, the fact that they're talking about how neighboring countries are going to start sending in reinforcements to then take over small parts and start taking back the land that they lost in previous years. This is a really well done way of explaining how world politics works, at least in feudal times. Also, the fact that we have our dumbass character who is kind of like the epitome of the populace of these dukedoms that don't like him, meeting him and going, oh shit, no, you're actually a good guy and a good king. I am so sorry. Also, the fact that something I really enjoyed was there's a point where they're sitting there in like the tea room when they're revealing to Hal that this is the king. And there's a couple lines. There's like the fox girl going, he's not rebellious, he's just a dumbass.
I
Also
love
the
Kaide. She was great.
Kaido was great. Also, the fact that both Aisha and Juno were going to just straight up murder him. Like, he laid a hand on Soma, and they were about ready to kill him.
Sir, do you want us to kill this rebellious fool?
Also, Soma is a master public speaker, if I do say so, because he was able to convince this guy simply on the power of dick. Also, we were able to progress the whole, like, Lycia likes him plot along, which is really nice.
Big Pog.
Also, I loved Aisha this entire episode. She was just fantastic.
How long
Like-
do I pretend like I'm sleeping still?
Yeah, how long am I supposed to pretend like I'm sleeping? So, also the bit in the throne room at the end where Soma's talking to Hal, his dad, and Kaede, and Hal walks in and he goes, "Oh, your manly good looks got a boost, did they?" Just being such a smarmy dick to him, and it's so good.
And then the
Right.
misunderstanding of, he doesn't need to be punished further. And his dad going, yeah, I'll handle that at home. Don't worry. He goes, no, actually,
No, please.
you've done
he's good.
enough.
Like,
I think
he's good.
You
I
beat
think
the
he's
shit
good. I
out
think
of
he
that
gets the
kid.
point.
I think Kaede would be upset, and they're like, huh? And she's like,
I
yeah.
think Kaide would be upset if you ruin his pretty face anymore. And he's like, oh yeah, okay, I get that now.
Well,
Now I get it.
Just Soma playing matchmaker with these two this entire time in this episode is so good.
He made him her personal encore escort, and basically made her a
Escort.
like military tactician
Yeah. There was one thing that I didn't quite
in the Forbidden.
get about this episode, and it was how they were explaining how the armies worked.
Okay, I think I get that.
So, because it made it seem like the Forbidden Army was like a mercenary group that they hired in.
I think it's related to like I think it's a reference directly to like the Forbidden City of
Yeah.
like China,
Yeah.
where it's like the inner capital has its own select military basically, and a
Yeah.
smaller force basically to protect the capital at all times. And then you
What-
have the greater army, the navy, and the air force,
What
right?
they were explaining was they had hired mercenaries to bolster the Forbidden Kingdom's army
Yes.
because it is
That's what it
smaller than the
was.
rest
Which
of
was-
them, and they
which is a
canceled.
separate,
And he
which is a
canceled
separate
that.
political issue
Yeah.
because they mentioned as well that those mercenaries,
Mercenaries are-
while they were a part of the Amaranth state, that is not that like is kind of sus. They were like a half of that state, right?
Yeah.
They are not the hostile half, but the hostile half that is the only real like threat to the kingdom or like,
Is
the
willing
world,
to pay
is the
more
upper half
money.
is willing to pay the mercenaries because they're already upset at being unemployed basically.
And the mercenaries
And they'd
are
be easy hires.
they're easy hires,
And more
they
knowledge.
will always go for more money because
so-
they're mercenaries.
Well, I mean, they would go for less because they already have hatred towards this king potentially, right?
I
And they
think
have
the
another. And
point
we
they
talk about that,
imply is with
but-
enough money, it wouldn't really matter. They
It wouldn't be
just go
too
with
hard.
you.
It wouldn't be
Yeah.
too hard based off of their current relationship, is what they implied.
They
Yeah,
win
because
either
love-
way.
I love how they explain all the political structure and the war related issues, right? I love them explaining the American government of checks and balances to a Japanese audience. That's really cool. Basically saying the three dukedoms check the king, like how our two branches of government check the president.
And then also
Next
explaining how
analysis.
there are still flaws in that system.
Yes.
Yeah.
This is the most invested I've been in politics in my life.
Right?
But I love Kaide. I think she was great. She's one of my favorites already. I know she's gonna be gone now, but
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
I think she
I
might,
think
I think she deserves a spot in the harem personally.
Okay,
but,
so I think
she already got
I think
it,
what's
man.
going to happen with her is that she's going to be his inside link to what the Forbidden,
The Forbidden
Army is
Army.
thinking,
So here,
like how
Um,
their morale is going.
this to me
I-
felt like a filling of a character void of if we're going into this dukedom, the dukedom plot point, we don't need to see some of the characters we've introduced, like or Food Boy and or Small Wolf, because what good are they necessarily gonna do when
Yeah,
this is a
Yeah.
kind of political scheme? So bring in some extra characters to fill those spots
To
who
bolster the
are going to be
actual-
involved, and that's
Yep.
gonna be Hal and
So,
Payday.
I
and
think
that's one thing that I really enjoy about this show is I think it's going for the not every character that is a main character is going to be on screen at all times, and that's okay because they are not fit for the scenes that we currently have. We're going by plot. The only character that's going to matter pretty much at all times is Soma,
and
that's a
probably-
good thing.
And probably Lissa.
And probably Lycia, because
Lycia.
she's essentially his right hand.
she's being set up to be the future king. We all know he's not going to leave, but she's set up in a way that she's being instructed on all these things as the future queen of this nation, one way or the other. And so she needs to know these things as well. So that's why
Yeah.
she's always on screen, and she's the
I'm-
primary love interest, right?
Yeah. I am very excited to see how this develops because I am ready to see Soma talk to Angry Lion Man and then cut to them getting drunk together. Because I'm almost positive that's going to happen and I'm A-okay.
I think the real MVP though of every scene she is in is the maid Serena and her playing
Oh,
matchmaker.
God.
She's the
She-
genius.
she's
they're
very
having
much
tea
the-
and she's just like, "Oh, you can learn from this, Lycia. Don't worry. You should watch these two."
She's a less aggressive version of the maid from Kaguya-sama.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Hayasaka's amazing, dude.
Yeah, they play
Hayasaka is my
similar
favorite.
roles but are different characters. But I enjoy both
Hayasaka
of them.
is invested in the support directly of Kaguya, whereas Lycia is getting
I don't know the
what's her name?
maid's name. off
Se-
the top of my
Se-
head.
I just said
Piranha?
Serena.
Serena?
Serena is getting in there between both of them, walking in the room just like, "Oh, am I interrupting something? I can leave," It's great. But he also did the glasses thing that every anime character with glasses has to do, just like the yes, you mean me. In
love
the
that
no way the king is here scenes.
I love that because he had the inner monologue of, man, I've always wanted to do this.
Dude, it's so fun. Just like if you have glasses, you gotta try it tonight. It's just like the
Michael.
yeah, I feel smart already. Me and Michael
I
watched
mean,
this together.
I mean, I enjoyed this episode. I think it was good. I liked every bit that wasn't just them monologuing about politics. Those were still good, but like there were times where I actually was fucking confused because they were just saying a lot of words.
Yeah,
The
it's hard to
subtitles were a
follow.
little fast.
It was definitely an info dump.
It was a lot to take in, and my brain just wasn't having it.
I
For
played a
some
lot
reason.
of Civ. We're good. Yeah, I
Like,
think we paused and I like had to like be like, okay, what are you confused about?
Yeah, there were some
think
bits
I
where I
get
was
it.
like, I think there were bits where like I think the wording was just a little
The
bit
Forbidden
weird
City
the way
thing
the
was confusing
subtitles
too.
were.
The Forbidden Army.
Yeah, but I think every bit that wasn't them just info dumping random politics stuff, or not random, like it was all important, but any bit that wasn't was really
Sense.
really
Yeah.
good. But there was just some bits where I was like, that's a lot of words on that
Funimation
screen.
has this issue where like it has like words written on screen that it'll like put in subtitles and then also put subtitles of the voices underneath it, and like it'll be like the same sentences sometimes and just really fucking confuse you. And I don't like that because sometimes it'll be like a quoted sentence followed by a sentence and then like followed by a quoted sentence and a sentence. You're just like, what? Where
Well,
am I?
and then
what?
also like at the top, it'll have the subtitles for what's on screen, like the
Yeah.
written text. It's a lot.
It's like written text, written pop-up text, and then like actual spoken text, and it's like,
I don't think it was bad. I think what they had there was really interesting. It was
hard to
just a
follow.
lot.
Yeah.
What I really enjoy and why this episode is my favorite, and I'm sticking by it for this week. Why
Me
what I
too.
think elevates it this week is that the entire episode, every single conflict or story beat in the episode, is written to have been built off of the Kaede and Hal interaction. There is not a single instance where those two characters were not used to tell or get you to a scene. Like we used them to build our main characters' relationships themselves. Like one of the reasons they have that conversation in the garden is they just watch two people who do love and care about each other, and that's the whole reason how he convinces Hal not to side with Duke Carmine is the whole, you do understand you'll have to kill her, or if you don't, you'll have to watch somebody kill her. Which is
you'll
a
be
really
going
really
directly
good
against the
argument.
person you care about. Yeah.
Yeah.
But like we get that scene because it's built us from them, and then we get the explanation of the surrounding politics because Kaede kind of goes into it, and it's really good because they then use the fact that Soma recognizes that to give her a higher position anyway, which again sets them up to be reoccurring characters hopefully. Like this whole episode is told and flows so smoothly that I just
And it
love
has-
every second of it.
And it has the similar issues you run into where it's like a character feels a way because that's what they hear around them and that's what they're told, right? It's not necessarily their own thoughts or like formulated opinions because they haven't gotten both sides of the argument until now, right?
Thinking too, one thing. So I'm curious as to what Hal's dad told him at the end, but I think it's going to turn into these two are going to be reoccurring characters, and essentially Hal and Kaede are going to be his envoy to Carmine because they know how Carmine works.
Also, if I recall correctly, Lycia served under Carmine when she was
She did.
She was
Yep.
stationed
So-
with him, so
I-
that's another
I agree.
important point.
Yeah.
It's interesting that like she just gets like military leave because she is now the queen, basically,
And
effectively.
I do hope that they're going to let her, because it's odd. It's like we understand why she's in the
military
position
figure.
she is, but also the position she is you are technically engaged to me, and I want you to take over. So you're gonna be next to me to learn everything. So she is our device to learn how the system works at times. But that also means she's not an active, engaged character in some of the action or scenes sometimes. So I'm hoping the show lets her kind of flex out of that and like do her own thing at times more than they have.
I hope she gets her own responsibilities at
Yeah.
some
I
point.
think we will get that a bit more once
I
we
think
get
so,
into
too.
the actual dukedom
And
bit.
Soma needs more help, like divvying up the task, basically.
I will say, I think Carmine, so how it's probably going to go is like Carmine's going to be the first stop in this. We're going to go stop a civil war. Carmine's going to be the first stop, and it's going to be a hard sell, but not really. It's going to end up fine. The next one is going to be the Navy
I
one,
see.
and she is going to be the whole time she is going to be like, like ara ara.
I think
but
she's already
overall it's
sold.
going-
I think she's already sold
She's
because
already
Juna,
sold.
Because
Juna
watching.
sees Juna
She's
saw
already
this whole thing,
sold.
and
So
she's communicating.
So I'm pretty sure she's already sold, but she's going to test him no matter what because that's what her
She wants in
role
that harem.
requires to. I think the hardest one is going to be. I think the big thing is going to be the Wyvern dude, and that's where we're going to get the actual like, oh hey, this ninja thing that he made. This is where it's going to come in handy, and they're gonna fight.
I'm interested too
I
about
think-
the continent they establish being offshore, and then they don't talk anything about it.
Yeah.
That's not ominous or dangerous at all. I haven't watched shows where the place that you're like, yeah, it exists, doesn't come up later.
I do think that like the Navy place, the blue place as I call it, I think like Juna's leader is just already on the side because again, Juna saw this whole thing go down and they made a point to cut to her and
Mhm.
get her reaction to the situation, right? Because we know she's effectively a spy here,
But
right?
He's a spy.
I do think Mason's right because I think it makes more sense for her to hold because she's the Navy. I think it makes more sense for her to hold until Carmine's also
and not
on
shown
his
any
side.
bias.
So
She
and
waits
also
to pivot.
Also, the thing that gets me that I know she is on board already is the fact that if Juna were not on Soma's side, we wouldn't have gotten that cut when Hal goes for his throat, where it is Juna
Juna has
holding
a
a
knife.
knife behind her back,
Yeah.
about ready to fucking stab.
All three of them were just ready to fucking kill this
I-
guy on the fucking spot in that bar.
I would also say though, the one thing that does kind of irk me about this show, I don't think it's bad, but it is something that like after it's done it for the sixth time, I go, okay, sure, it's the ending on the cliffhanger thing, but I do think
Yeah.
I hope the show's gonna make use of it in the episode where it decides not to end like this. Because like the cliffhangers are very particular. The cliffhangers have always been, and this, like they are about to give you that piece of information, they stop you. So that moment where they actually end us on like a scene, and it's not like it's not a, well, what are you telling us? It's a, you have to wait to see what happens. It's going to be a very serious and important moment, I feel like. Like, you can use this repetitive nature of a cliffhanger to your advantage in storytelling if it's done right, and I hope
It's
this show will
good.
do it.
I do too.
They did it good the first time.
Yeah.
Like the first time we're like, okay, what is it? Is it like, insurrection? Is this time it might actually be insurrection.
Yeah,
Like,
it's going to be
That's
interesting
what
to
it's
see.
leading to. But we'll see.
I really like the show. I think it's really solid. Hey,
I hope it gets
Dash,
season 2 already.
I'm so interested to hear you all talk about this show. I'm so interested to know why this one doesn't click with you all.
Okay, for me, not having headphones makes stuff harder to watch.
That's fair.
I watched this on my phone as the last thing. I thought it was funny, but a lot of the jokes just didn't land for me. The
Same.
start was really funny though. Kids
The-
always MVPs. I thought like the scene where they're like, "Does he know we're going on a retreat?" I'm not telling him. You tell him. I'm not telling him. Where he's
My-
like, "Yeah, it's a 2-day weekend."
My favorite thing was the bit with the kid going, "Oh yeah, we saw this guy at the grocery store." And he was just buying some pickled mackerel and a shit ton of
Sake.
booze. Pickled mackerel, sake, and a lot of beer.
And
And my
was
mom said he looked familiar. He kind of looked like you.
like, no. And I said to my mom, he looked a lot like you, but she said no, he looks a lot older than you. And he's just like,
Mm,
you're right. That was probably the best scene in the episode.
that was
but
the best scene this
I think
episode.
Utano singing her only song that she ever released, which
So
was like an older folk song style. Oh my god.
Yeah, with the Enka singing.
That was really funny. I love her character though in general. Ikiteru still laughing at dick jokes is I respect a running gag.
Let's talk
I don't
about
really
it, though.
enjoy it, but
I think the show does a good job of not having done those gags for an episode and a half. That when it comes back here, it's actually like not terrible. Like
You're
it
like, I
got
get
the
it.
chuckle out of me. I was like,
get
oh
it's
yeah,
penis.
that's
It's also
actually kinda funny.
only the one.
Yeah.
It's only
They did
the
it like
one.
twice. They did.
Well, they
Oh,
do at
he
the
made
end of
Because
the
then
episode a lot.
He made
They-
another reference at the end. Yeah.
But
Yeah,
like
they do
even
it,
then,
twice,
it was
the
a
second time's really not good.
I don't get the weird artwork they're putting in these shows, like the fucking Inu this episode and like the bird people that keep haunting his nightmares. I also like the macaroon bit. I thought it was pretty
Yeah.
funny.
Macaron's
I don't
really
know.
good.
I thought the
Macaron bit's
macaron
good.
bat was kind of fucking
Man,
dumb.
The more
I
I,
don't
talk about the
know.
show, the more I actually really did like this episode.
I got
Maybe
a
was just-
kick out of the.
I think I
macaron
was
thing.
just. I think I was just like tired because I didn't have internet and I just wanted to play Breath of the
I was
Wild.
like,
and I
oh,
had
it's
to watch
gonna be a
anime.
macaron. Where's a macaron gonna appear? Oh wow, it's on the girl's shirt. He said the word macaron.
see,
Woohoo!
my
I was thinking,
problem
what could it
was-
be?
I
My
don't
first
know.
thought
My
went to
problem was
macaroon,
when
but I
he
was
said
like, I don't know.
macaroni. He said macaroni, and I was just like,
Macaroni.
bruh.
My problem
You're
was
like, oh,
What is-
no.
I was in
I've
the
been
headset
there.
of okay, is it an English pun or a Japanese pun? Is it
like
both? And
both.
I can't manage it because I
It's
can't
tough.
I can't
couldn't figure it
read
out, could
and
you?
hear at the same time. So for me, I actually didn't know where the joke was going, and I enjoyed it.
They literally see him with a. His dream
Yes,
is a
no.
macaron opening up, and
I
then he gets jump scared by a
understand.
bird.
I understand.
And I was like,
that.
oh damn, it's a macaron.
Macaroni.
Wow.
I understood
joke.
that
Ooh,
part.
isn't it?
I enjoyed it.
So-
I enjoyed that bit.
I enjoyed the bird jump scaring him. That was fucking.
I don't think it was a
That
bad.
shouldn't have been funny, but
Okay,
it's fucking funny.
Yeah.
The reason why I think it's a good bit isn't because it's necessarily hilariously funny. I think it's because goddamn, why is this show always so goddamn relatable to
Yeah,
my life?
yeah, for
Please
sure.
stop
Yeah.
living
That one
life
was
for
real
me.
as fuck.
Like, please stop
Yeah.
the existential crisis of me going. Fuck, what was that thing I was doing? Like, we've all, I have
Yeah.
this a lot. Where like I'll walk upstairs to do something in my house. My house is like a 3-story house. It's not that big a house. I'll walk upstairs to like the living room or my bedroom. Go, why the fuck am I here? Walk back down. The second I go, all right, back to my. I needed my charger for my phone. Fuck, and like go fucking
Literally.
do it
So,
so
like,
often.
I'll do that all the time where like I'll get up to like go get a snack and I'll like walk out and be like, I need to use the bathroom. Okay, cool.
Come back down.
Come back to my room, reach for where I think I put the snack and go, fuck.
I'm hungry.
It's shit like that where I'm just like, yeah, okay, I get it.
Mine's like
I-
I need to eat, and
I've
then like
also
2 hours
had-
go by and go, wow, I should have eaten.
I also have had those moments where I'm
Today.
like, I'm trying to think of something, whether it be like a song or something.
It's
like,
always
in
a
particular.
song.
It's usually a song, and I'm like,
Yeah,
God,
that's always-
John, you know, me and you when we first watched Sunny Boy.
and then like a day or two, maybe 3, sometimes the whole last fucking week later, I'll go, God damn it, that was it. I remember it now.
I
So
need to tell this person I was talking to.
the macaroon
Where are
bit,
they?
the macaroon bit again
Damn.
totally resonates with me. I really enjoyed. I liked the entire bit of the retreat. I don't think there's a moment of the retreat
think
that
the
I
retreat
think's
was pretty
bad. It's nice to see these characters in a setting where they get to exist with each other, and I think this does the beach portion of the earlier episode where they're still working and it tries to take them out of the studio environment. I think this episode does it better.
The one thing I really enjoyed about the retreat was this kind of running gag they had where people would just like fall asleep or get too drunk and pass out and they just fucking shove them out
Yeah.
of the way.
Oh, that was fucking.
I was
love that
fucking
shit.
dying at that bit.
Sean, you seem to misinterpret me putting the show as 8 as it being a bad show.
No,
Yeah.
no, no,
No,
I'm
I
not
think this was
worried
I think it was a
about
good
you.
episode.
It's
I
me
just think they
amazing.
were much better episodes this week.
Yeah.
It's
I
me
just
amazing
think-
thinking this was worse than Black Company.
I
this week.
just
That's
think
the
this
sort
is
of
such a
girlfriend,
strong
girlfriend.
episode. Like
I
the
agree,
ping pong
yeah.
bit, I think is fucking hysterical. I just the
Oh, good.
take your stamps, get ready, and imagine you are
Spread
at a
your legs.
retirement game. I don't know
The
what it
last
is about
game.
the delivery of that bit, and then just the
Oh.
rapid fire
I-
ping pong. It's so good.
Suddenly we
I love the
got
cut to them
ping pong
both just like
animation.
they're picking teams and they're like well, I'm not that good. I never really played much. And then they cut to the other two like, are you guys ready yet? And they're bouncing
Even-
balls. And
Even
they're like,
the
they're way too
beginning
competitive.
bit. Even the beginning bit where he turns and he's like, "Now be careful, because they're not gonna go easy." Bam, ping pong ball to the
Yeah,
face.
right.
This
So
is a
good,
show
dude.
I need to watch with
It's-
somebody because I need to bounce these things off of
Okay,
somebody
I
else,
know.
or else I go
Love this
insane.
episode.
I'm
Now that we
I'm
talked
really
about this, I
sad.
love this shit.
Okay, I'm really sad that I didn't get to watch any of these shows this week with anyone because normally I watch all of them with John. It was also, it's not just that you were gone or that you didn't have internet. I was also busy as fuck
Yeah, I was
all this
busy the
week,
other
and
week,
I would
too.
literally, I would come home, eat dinner, and then fall asleep for 3 out of the 6 days this week.
So
I know there's 7 days in a
Can we,
week, but like,
can we talk about the bit real quick where Usohara just gets bullied for his weekly bullying of his relationship by his coworkers in the other half of the onsen? I was like,
Yeah.
what about Usohara-kun?
Also, the
What about not
implicit
him?
shot at him by comparing him to singer One-san's boyfriend of God, he can't even fucking kill a stink bug. Cut to them in the bath, into the heading into the hot spring of this stink bug on my towel. Can someone please help me?
I
Yeah.
love Utano's relationship just slowly deteriorating as the show goes on.
I'm
I feel
legitimately
so
waiting
bad.
I'm legitimately waiting for the point where she gets fed up with her
Breakup
boyfriend,
depression episode.
breaks up with him, and then they all go out drinking and she goes home with Usahara.
It's
That's what's going to happen.
honestly, she could wind up with any of the guys in this show, and it
Yeah.
would make for a good bit.
I think the best bit would be if she winds up with Kumatani, just the silent guy.
Yeah, I agree.
That'd be like the ideal funny moment. But like I hope for Uramichi's sake he gets some of that. Like he needs some help. Get that man some help. His mental state's still slowly deteriorating.
I really enjoyed this episode this week. Honestly, the only way I see Uramichi going is if it has a god-awful week, or which will really hurt it for me, or if just everything else that's just... Like, this is my bar now. Like, I actually enjoy this. So, like, if my enjoyment's not higher than this, you can go.
So, I
Yeah.
think, honestly, like, this, Dungeon, and Girlfriend are all kind of competing for the number 5 slot right now.
See, I think it's a
Yeah.
different show, because I think there's
You think
another
we-
show over Girlfriend that can work
Yeah.
its way up. I still have hope for it. I
We'll
know
get
the
there.
podcast disagrees.
Okay, the podcast disagrees because we've had hope for shows before, and then we got Wandering Witch.
Sure.
Don't let us have the No Man's Sky experience, please.
The reason why I like Uramichi over Girlfriend is
Season
that
2 will be so good.
you
though,
could
Mason.
sit me down and I could watch both these shows with you, and I would definitely enjoy both of them more. But I can also sit down on my own and I can watch Uramichi and I can watch Girlfriend, and I know which one I like better, because I know which one's a terrible experience on my own, and it's
For me,
Girlfriend.
it's like I know I enjoy this stuff more when I get to like laugh with other people and like see what they thought funny and be like, yeah, you're right, that was kind of funny actually. Like I get it now. Like the more I talk about like these 3 shows in particular, the more I'm just like, can I just like whoop? like Uramichi 5, Girlfriend 6, Company 7 for me. But I mean, this is why we discuss these things and don't just vote at the start of the episode, right?
Yeah. Well, speaking of discuss, let's take a look at Peach Boy 8989. That makes relative sense. Now I have a lot to say, and Mason, I literally have this written in my notes. Trust me, this is gonna sound like nothing's changed, but you're gonna get your wish from me, okay? So, I want to like Peach Boy so bad.
Right?
I want to enjoy it, and one of the
Yes.
things that's really hit home, and because I talked with Michael about this. I have not rewatched Peach Boy. I know it's on the other podcast, and it might, and the impression might be that I've rewatched everything twice that's on both shows. No, everybody
Not a
who was
fucking
with me on
chance.
vacation already watched Peach Boy. I didn't have to rewatch a single episode of it. So everything I remember about Peach Boy is just sticking in my memory, which to me means I like the show enough to give it that benefit of the doubt that I'll keep things together. This show's biggest issue, by far, is the fact that it is being told out of order. Episode 3 is a sin for this show, because every single detail in episode 3 that they talk about at the Oni gathering, we are watching unfold. They mention all of our Oni characters being killed, and we are now seeing it. Every
We're
single
not
one
seeing
of them.
all- We
Not a
never saw
single-
this tree get killed.
Because
So,
that's next week. Because
The
that's
shit that
next
Kill the
week.
blonde loser horn.
the shit
What the fuck, show?
the shit that bothers me is the fact that, as opposed to talking about shit from episode 3, they instead, at the beginning of the episode, talked about shit from episode 1. Why?
So
Why?
it does 2 things. It talks about Set,
Which,
and
okay,
they
I
need to
get-
have that conversation. We should
they
have
do,
had it
and I give them.
earlier.
Yes.
The other issue is they talk about Hatsuki, who is Molly, who is this blonde-haired girl. This is who she is. It's her other name. We have not seen Sally fuck her up yet. We have not had that episode.
Or the tree or whatever.
Okay, that was the thing that bothered me, was in watching this, I couldn't remember who the fuck Hatsuki was. They kept talking about her as if we had met her before. I do not remember her
So-
in the slightest.
Not to mention the fact she also apparently like they met, they fought, she murdered things, and like we know this, but we don't like. And they're talking as if like we know like, oh,
Here-
I've seen her kill things before. It's like No, you haven't. Not in my views.
Here's
Yeah,
what
because
we know.
that happened before the vampire thing.
She killed Set.
This is a bit
and you're
we
just
haven't
finding
seen
out
yet.
Now,
So we are
like-
still
Yeah.
missing the gap of time from where the town is destroyed and when they arrive and they start doing the vampire stuff. We still have a gap there, which is
Yeah,
terrible.
there's
That
some
should
place
be
there that we
filled.
haven't seen yet for
But-
some fucking
And
reason.
then we still have the gap between the vampire stuff now and where we left off
Do
in
we?
episode 3.
Do we? Because here's the thing, right?
Are
They
we
are
ahead of it?
Gosh, they are leaving the town because Sally's punched a man who rightfully deserved it for being
It's
a
a different
racist
town.
asshole. They are leaving the town, and now Mikoto has met up with Hatsuki in her human form, who we know she's with when they go to the
Human.
tournament,
because Hatsuki's
because
in the
she
tournament.
is the character there. Now, what's also
That's
important,
right.
what's also important to know, and again, this is me, I have connected and reorganized all the dots, which is why I really like this show, but hate how they've presented it. At the ogre meeting, or blonde-haired, human-looking motherfucker lays out a bunch of names of people who are dead. One of the people who steps up and is like, yeah, the Peach Boys are a problem is the old man from episode 4, who we meet, who comes to Sally's town, and runs away from Mikoto like a little bitch. He's there and he's like, look, you need to know that this ogre died. It was the big one that Mikoto kills. And then they also list off a couple of other people. One of them is Hatsuki. The other one is a name who Michael and I went back to check the scene. I was like, who the fuck is this long-ass K name? It's our vampire dude. But you only hear his name last episode. So, again, we are at the right point now where this Oni meeting is about to happen. They list Set being dead. They talk about Carrot being defeated. They are attributing all of these defeats, however, to Peach Boy, not to Sally. That's a really interesting plot point. It's a shame this will all happen in episode 3, and we are now on episode 6, and this show is so discontinued from
Well,
this
they're
area.
attributing it to Peach Boy because they don't know about Sally for the most part. And Peach
One
Boy has
thing-
been everywhere she has.
That's
One
true.
thing that also showed up that I think actually is an interesting plot point, but also I could not be bothered to give more of a fuck about this show anymore, is the fact that Makoto is not that boy's real name.
His
it
name,
is-
he's not
he-
Mikoto.
Its
Mikoto.
name is not Makoto. He took that name on
From his mess.
from the original Makoto.
And this gets me to the stuff
Which,
with Peach Boy.
in my
I
brain,
really
is like, is that the fucking wolf?
No.
Did,
wolf's just
did
a
a man
dog.
turn into...
No,
But
that's
No.
his
but
dog.
the dog can talk.
They show us the
I know.
shot of who he
And this
is.
dog is connected to the powers, because this dog stopped his sword.
I
No,
just
this dog is
imagine-
connected to Makoto.
I just imagine the
original.
dog was with the original Makoto, who is either
Yeah.
a father or a trainer. Ideally,
Or
he's
created him.
he's the original Peach Boy, is what makes the most sense here. He is Momotaro. And that Mikoto is taking up over him and doing what he did for a different country in this new land. You know, that thread could be interesting. Makes sense. The stuff with everything with Makoto in this section of the show is incredible, in my opinion. The
It's
scene
really solid.
where Hatsuki
See,
pulls
I'm
her
the
horn out.
opposite. I hated every scene away from our main cast in this episode because it was so out of order and it annoys me. Like
I
Okay.
also like the
and
stuff
how much
with the
like
main cast.
and how much extra lore and stuff they're dropping of stuff that like has happened and hasn't happened. Just like unlike you, I connected some of the dots. But I
No,
hate the
fair.
fact that they're still dots. They're just out there. That they're just adding.
Absolutely.
It's like trying to understand the Zelda timeline over here. You're
It's
just
why
like
I'm really
"What the
mad
heck?"
at this show. Is because
Okay.
I know what it could look like.
One other thing
Oh,
that
man.
I noticed that really is what gets me about this show is the fact that I said this to Sean when I was watching it too. Sean was in the call.
Yeah.
Brow is the only reason this main group exists right now. And I mean that quite literally because Barrett, up until this point, does not want to be here and does not want to be around humans. The only reason she is staying is because of Frau. Sally wouldn't have met any of them if not for Frau. And Swordsman's just kind of there at the moment. We don't really know anything about
Swordsman's
him.
there because his town got evaporated.
Yes.
Which
But again,
Yeah.
it's one of those things where it's like if Frau isn't there, the main cast isn't together. So and they have no reason to stay together either if Frau isn't there.
it's
Really.
that one D&D character in the party who connects everybody else, and as the DM, you're like, please don't fucking die. This goes to shit if you die. No one has any
Exactly.
reason to be here if you die. And like,
Uh,
I think the stuff for Frau is interesting. The other thing that became blatantly obvious to me here is that this as a shonen would be so much better if it just slowed down. If it just also slowed down. If you gave me an
Yes.
episode arc with our vampire Oni, and he was a central problem that you set up, that you built as an antagonistic force, who after defeating him, you then had the reflection with him and our angel, with Atla, I would love this. This would be a tremendously great arc
as his
for a set of
body's burning in the
characters.
background, like
I
The
really
scene
liked
oh,
that scene
The
too.
scene where the
That
ring
was-
falls is wonderful.
that scene
only
was
we
so
gave a fuck
good.
about the vampire guy.
Exactly.
And I don't even
Just like
I don't even think telling the story in the correct order would fix that problem. I just don't think there's enough
No.
time with this.
that's
I
the
think
issue. Is
I
like
also
if
like-
okay, if we set up one episode where it's like, oh hey, this town has a vampire problem, hatch to like one girl as she's being murdered by the vampire. Second episode is the vampire fight, like finally tracking him down and fighting him, and then third episode is like actually what we get this episode. I'd be fine with it, but instead it's Newtown vampire. Hey, we killed the vampire, and then reflection in an episode and a half,
There's one
and that's
other
just
thing
not okay.
I don't like about this episode, and it's with Makoto and Blondie here and our night guy. I don't know his name. The night one.
Oh, you mean Asia from Hunter
mid-
from
mid-
High School
mid-level
DxD?
ogre.
Mid-level night ogre.
Unnamed mid-level ogre
They,
who is
they
the one.
explain away him living, meeting Peach Boy by literally having her rip her horn out and him going, "Wow, suddenly I care about this character because she's not an ogre anymore," and doesn't just fucking kill that guy as if he couldn't do it in a second.
He could.
Like
Yeah.
we all know Peach Boy could have murdered him in a
Yeah,
fucking
for
split
sure.
second, and they
The
just
sh-
explain it away as he needed to help the girl. No,
the
So-
show
he could
doesn't
have been
really
like, boom,
beat
done.
around
All right,
the
let's
bush
go.
that it could.
But
So I
That's-
think
that was one of the
What
most
it
frustrating
could-
things, to just explain that away.
devil's advocate. I think he probably did actually kill him,
No,
and he's just
Because he's showing up in
he's
the
in
in the
episode
meeting.
3.
Oh, fuck,
when
you're
he,
right.
He's
Because
in the
when
meeting
he,
reporting.
Because
It's his place.
when he comes from episode 3, he is coming from this interaction because Blondie goes, "Yeah, you didn't kill Peach Boy, huh?" And he goes, "And you didn't get Hatsuki." And he goes, "Well, yeah, but also, like, I didn't know he was Peach Boy, and I was gonna die if I was there." And he's like, "Yeah, that's a shame. Now you have to carry the lolly. Congrats, that's your punishment." It's the
Fuck,
exact
you're
same
right.
mid-level ogre. And, like, again, so this is one of those things where, like, I don't have a big of a problem with it, Dodge, because to me, I'm just like, they're setting
get
up
it.
for a hit. This is Makoto's character who bridges the line of human and Oni for him. And it's a
I
matter
get-
of the horns completely removed, and that makes the difference, apparently.
I get it, but at the same time, Makoto, as of this point, would have murdered her without a fucking wink, regardless of if she removed that horn or not.
I think
Okay,
the scene with the
that's-
dog is supposed to have changed that thought
I
process.
think it
That, and you have the
is.
carrot scene where he cuts off her horn. Similarly, I
but
guess
that's more of a torture thing. Like, he does that
So,
to spite
he does
her.
that because he's being an asshole to
Yeah.
spite her. But,
Yeah,
like,
that's the
again,
thing
like,
with me.
there's
Is
no
like,
reason for him to let this character live, right? Is my only
Yeah.
argument.
so that's my thing. Is like he. I even have it in my notes that he is way too goddamn bloodthirsty,
Mhm.
and it's not in a fun way.
No.
It's just a God. I want this
Murder
character to die because you are just an asshole.
Yeah, thank you, dog, for stopping the edgy train for just a little bit. this
Yeah,
episode.
exactly.
The last
Yeah.
note I'll make is this show has a weirdly weird balance between like generic, pretty looking shonen, like cute medieval town scene and brutal fucking
Hard
gore.
slap. There's no
Yeah.
in between with it. And
There's
again,
a hard cut whenever any sword or weapon comes out. You're like, okay, someone's getting brutally massacred.
They're getting
Frau
murked.
just lost her entire top half in a
if you,
second.
and again, I think a pacing problem could probably fix that because you would have more time
Well,
to devote to
You
both.
could lengthen these action
Like, it
scenes
would
Well,
too.
feel
and,
better,
like,
in my opinion.
And every fight's like a One Punch Man's fight.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
which
the thing. Is like
not a bad thing.
it would be fine if we had the pacing because it could do those like re-zero level of oh god this fucking happened.
Oh, that's fucked.
It would hit
Yeah.
harder because it's wartime in between those cuts where we're not expecting it, where they have one literally every episode now. And it's like okay, I get it.
What do you think about the show, Michael? You haven't talked much about Peach Boy.
We-
We've dominated the discussion on these.
It's hard for me to like cut in because it's like a specific thought like I was having, in that I like how the show like before this had been like setting up things like it does in episode 3 where we'll see them occur, but it was always like things that didn't feel like we missed anything not having them, because it was like because the way episode 3 explains all the demon deaths, it goes Makoto did them off screen, and we slowly learn that most of them have been done by Sally instead. But
It's
this episode just decides
It's like a 50.
to show up to literally go, yeah, a thing happened that you didn't see. Fuck you, you didn't see it. With the tree and the Hatsuki thing.
Fuck you.
Yeah.
We'll get to that.
They,
next
they didn't even
episode.
like. They're like, yeah, that happened. You didn't get to see it for some reason. I don't know why we completely skipped it, but you didn't get to see it.
I
We'll
can't
get
wait.
there.
Really dumb.
Well, I'm sure they'll show it. That's the problem. Is I feel like it's just be like, all right, now we waste more runtime on a scene
Yeah.
that I didn't know existed that they're shoving in my face that exists, but
Yeah,
they're gonna show it eventually.
But it's
I
the
can't
way they
wait.
did it before. It didn't feel like they were just going, this is a thing you'll see later. This is just. It was just.
Yeah.
This is a thing that happened that's following someone we're not following, so it
That's-
didn't matter.
That's
Now they
because you have
directly showed
more-
you how part
You
of the
have
scene.
more information now than you did episode 3. In episode 3, you knew nothing, so they could tell you anything, and you'd be like, cool. Now you know things, so you go, wait, no, I wanted to see that. Why haven't I seen that now? So we're
Again.
overlapping in the problem. The problem's
It's
expanded
also the
now.
fact that it was the main group that was mentioned this time, while before it was just Makoto did this thing off
you
screen.
thought it was Makoto.
And that's why I feel like an
Yeah.
episode 3 being episode 1 would have been so much better for
I
this
don't
show.
think
I mean,
so.
a lot of moments, but
I think this
I'm-
whole show needs to be reorganized.
So
I
I'm
agree for
I
sure.
can't wait for
like that.
once
That's
the
just
show is
start.
finished, for them to have chronologically
order.
correct order. Because I would probably really enjoy this show because it has a lot of good points to it. I can see it's literally okay. This is the analogy I'm going to go, and we're going to stick with it. It's like Sonic 06, where Sonic 06, if you play that game, while playing it, you can see that there are bright spots in the pile of shit. But overall, it's still a pile of shit.
It's
So,
like how I feel
here's my
about
thing.
Mighty
Here's my
Number
thing,
9.
Mason, about that watch order is they'd have to go watch this episode up until minute 14, then go watch this episode for minute 6,
think
and then go
so.
back to that episode.
No, it's not quite that bad.
I don't think
It
it's
doesn't
has
seem
that
to be
issue
like
yet.
that.
A lot of the flashbacks wouldn't make as much sense, though.
But there's
without,
no there's no flashback.
No.
All the flashbacks are self-contained in an episode. That's my thing.
Yeah.
This is the show that's finally done it, by the way. Congrats to Peach Boy. It's the show that's finally made me go, okay, we're voting the show off. I'm reading the fucking manga. I want to experience this right. I want to
Damn.
know how they did it. Like this is a capable author. They have written good things before. Like just
It seems like there's a
Who
This-
did they write? What did they write before?
this is the Kobayashi author.
Oh shit!
So like for me, this is me going, oh okay. So the studio just doesn't know what they're doing, or the studio got the green light to just try to play for the audience to get them hyped
make it
by
look cool.
putting it in whatever order they think is coolest. I want to read this because this seems like it's going to be really good and really solid. And the opinions online seem to be similar of people who went, I'm so sorry for people who were hyped for this, excited for this, or have read the manga and wanted the adaptation, because this sucks. So I'm really excited on my end to actually
Start
get to
reading?
experience this, yeah.
Hey, if it's any good, let
I'll
me
let
know.
you
I'll
guys
go
know.
look it
Oh,
up.
you'll
Yeah,
find
let me
out.
know.
And I'm gonna keep watching this too even after it's gone, because I'm
Yeah, me too,
invested.
probably.
I want to understand where the line goes.
I'll give it a couple episodes, right? Because like, it's not like it's not horrifically bad. Like we've watched worse.
Mhm.
We have gotten through more episodes of worse shows. However, it's just so frustrating because you know that there's substance there somewhere in this show. You know, like the source material has so much potential to be good.
I'll be right back.
Where
by the
is
way.
it? Right? Like that's my biggest issue about this show. Is like I don't think it's the worst thing ever. And I know I hate on the show a lot, but like there's a reason why it's not the bottom this week, right?
It
I have
is-
other
yeah.
I am at least somewhat entertained when I watch this show.
I'm voting this because like what it has to go. Like I dislike and am bored and think that Girlfriend is the dullest thing on the planet. I get no enjoyment out of watching it, but Peach Boy aggravates me because it has a structural flaw with
It should feel good to watch.
Yeah,
Peach Boy.
like I look at this and I go, this is a bad anime because it isn't in the form or being told correctly, and that upsets me. Like you can't do anything to fix.
Like
this
you
at
watch
this
episode
point.
1, you think, man, this show actually has some pretty good potential. It's pretty
We
fucking
were all
crazy.
decently high on this show on the first week. It was just we were all
No,
kinda
you
like,
weren't.
Hold on,
All
I,
three of you slated.
I know.
I had it at 7. I had it at 7.
A lot of
Which is
us
pretty
didn't
fucking
follow. A
high.
lot of us had it high. We just still slated anyway because after talking about it, we were a little iffy on it. And to be
I was
fair,
always iffy on it.
we were
but I just
kind of
like to
on
slay
the
it on
right.
week 1.
We were kind of on the right track to be iffy about it. I shouldn't have slated week 1. I regret that decision It definitely shouldn't have gone. I look back at the week 1 slays and go, this doesn't line up with any of our power ranking whatsoever. Week 1,
mine's pretty good.
you'd be
Mine's pretty
surprised.
close. I gotta check. Let's see when I say week 1. Yeah, you're
Let
probably
me
right.
double check my notes to make sure there's nothing.
I'm pretty sure I did Peach Boy,
I'm
Aquatope,
pretty
Dungeon,
sure
and
no one had
Weezing.
Peach Boy above 10 week 1,
No, wait,
other
I
than
did-
me.
I did.
I did it at like 6.
I
I had it
it
at
higher.
7. I had it at 7.
Mine was
my-
definitely
I
not.
specifically remember
I
I had
looked
it at like
back.
6, and Sean, you straight up said, Michael, why the fuck do you have the show so high this week?
Okay, like
That was a thing that happened
I was
week 1.
curious because I was wondering how my rankings have changed from week to week. I had Sunny Boy, Vanitas, Kingdom, Girlfriend, Remake, Detective 6, Peach Boy 7, Uramichi 8,
I
Aquatope,
had
Dungeon, Remain Battle Game.
I've pulled up week 1. Peach Boy for me was at 7. For you, Michael, it was 6. It was 7 for Dodge. It was 7 for Mason. We all had it at 7 week 1.
Super
That's
mid.
I'm sorry.
Week
You
2?
I straight up remember you going, why do you have it so high, Michael? And then I talked about that.
What
that was like
hap-
a thing that happened during the Peach Boy talk.
What I
Maybe,
remember.
maybe that's also because this is post your shift.
You guys remember
Sean.
this is only episode
Because
4. so we've only
originally
had
when
3
we had it, I
power
think you
rankings.
may have had it lower.
Maybe. What I
'Cause
do
this is
remember
your
was
post-shift
episode 2
variant.
when you dropped it really far, and I was interested about that decision because you were high on it the first week for sure.
Yeah, because episode 2 was Doodoo Kaka.
What? What are we
Whatever.
talking about?
We were just
talking about
debating
Peach
the
Boy's
semantics
past
of
rankings.
Peach Boy's past rankings. But
Oh, gotcha.
we can
We can move on.
move on so that we can have the other big discussion that needs to be had. Remake. So I am the only person who even remotely has remake. It's not too low on Michael's list still, but it's definitely in that bottom barrel. I have it. I still have it at 6, and the reason for
I'm
it
trying
is
to be nice to it, but it's
I
hard.
enjoy watching this show. For me, is the thing. I do like watching it. I definitely think it has problems, but for me, that's why it's above Girlfriend, but below Life Lessons. I don't think Life Lessons has necessarily any flaws with it, besides the comedy not hitting me the first couple of weeks. I do think Remake has issues, but if it can get past those, which I'd really like to see, I think it could be a really solid show. Now that gets us to this week. Mason sat down and started watching this show and called it with Mason, this episode pisses me off. I like
Yeah,
the fact that
same.
it does that. I know Mason might not. So
Yeah.
we get to dive into Glasses Boy, the Glasses Coon, and now he's the world's biggest shit. Because not only does he admit that he lied to our main character to try to become friends with him, he did it because A, he sucks at water polo and was benched his whole time. B,
Well, he's okay at water polo.
B-
But yeah.
I mean,
I mean, if they
we
lose
don't
18-0, they probably all fucking suck at water
we
polo.
don't
let's be honest.
know.
They got fucking shut out by middle schoolers, 18-0.
We-
They all suck.
We also know that he left his team because he wanted to show his team that he was better than they thought he was, and he thought he could do it by using Minato. He didn't believe Minato when he was telling him the honest-to-God truth that his memory doesn't fucking exist, and that he doesn't remember how to play the game. And then upon finally playing a match with him, went, "Oh yeah, you're total fucking dog shit," and tells him that to his face. My biggest issue with Riemann this week is that I wish Minato was a little more not a nice guy, so that he could look at him in the face and go, I actually really, I actually, it doesn't bother me that you're a fucking liar, but you need to stay on this team so that I can do what I want to do, which is play water polo. Too late, you can't back out now. You forced me
to play,
dug
I'm
your
forcing
grave,
you to
but
play, bitch.
you gotta stay here. Like, I would
Yeah.
love if that was the direction the
I-
show take, but it doesn't, and it upsets me a bit. And the other point that really gets on my nerves is I'm super happy he goes to the coach. Very wonderful that
Yeah,
he goes to the coach.
I like that.
Right move. Great. Really glad he's looking back at old footage, even if it's just him training. That eventually
Which,
can lead to
by
looking
the
at
way,
games.
Why the fuck did it take him 6 goddamn episodes to look at old
Open his
footage of
fucking
himself?
closet.
Because he's fucking dumb. But
It took him 4 months to open a fucking closet.
what really bothers me is the first thing out of the coach's mouth is, "Oh, you were good because you have your shoulder blades in the movement you have with them is stellar. You have a genetic advantage to some players." To which then our main character goes, "Yeah,
That's it?
that was never said to me. I wasn't a prodigy. I just worked real hard." And I get it. He put in a lot of effort to work real hard, but you're skipping the fact that you do have a genetic edge on the rest of the players. And it really pisses
Okay,
me off when he
I
sits
think
down
the
Glasses Coon
coach.
and ignores that fact.
I think the reason why is because coach was trying to give him a like a foundational reason that
Yeah.
makes him effectively good at the game. It's like, well, you have good shoulder movement. Like
For
it's
sure.
like someone saying you have a big
you have-
wingspan.
You have
right?
good
Yeah.
flexibility
It's like
in
saying
your
someone has a good
arm.
wingspan or big hands, which he doesn't have.
I
Right?
understand
He's a
it.
smaller guy.
I'm fine with it. They make such a big sticking point on the I
I didn't
wasn't
say
a
it's not that
prodigy. I worked really hard to get there, and all I have to do is do it again. Well,
It's like, well, you do have
yes,
some talent.
but also you do have some talent. Don't
Okay,
don't
listen,
undersell it here.
guys. We've all three of us have watched IQ, and I watched this show with Michael, and I made a point in season 4. There's a certain scene where a guy talks about prodigies and a certain set of twins, if you know what I'm
Mhm.
talking about, right? Go figure. Prodigies aren't just prodigies because they're lucky and have
No,
talent.
yeah.
No, they also work the fucking hardest to be the best while using their talents and their innate skill. That's how they are prodigies. That's how they are the best. Is because they don't just be the best.
If you're
right?
a
You're not
prodigy
just the best at something.
and
You
you
have to
don't
actually work
work,
at it.
If you're a prodigy and you don't work, you don't reach the levels of the prodigies you see, like in shows.
You're never
like
going to be the
these.
actual best.
You don't go
like,
past like a base level.
Also, like it's one of those things where it's like 18-0, 1 month of training shouldn't be enough. I'm cool with that. I don't think they should have lost 18-0. I think they should have scored some points because let's be realistic. Eventually, they're going to throw something in that net. I'm sorry.
No,
Um,
no.
Not with
maybe not.
not with how they
Okay,
had everything
maybe they
set
just
up.
suck.
Mason,
Okay,
you want to
so
dig in here?
It is water
So
polo. I get
I'll
it.
I'll dig in on this. Water polo is a really,
Fucking
really rough sport. And by rough, I mean it's hard to play, and you will get fucked up playing it. Like,
Yeah. That's fair.
and they show it pretty good where they say it too. Half of the sport is not actually playing the sport, it is figuring out what you can get away with. Because most of the sport is fucking with other opponents and
Underwater.
almost drowning them. That's most of the game.
The live
And so I completely get it because a lot of what you're actually supposed to do as a defender is as they're going up for an attack, you yank down on their other arm so it pulls their elbow into the water and they can't throw up right. Which that's exactly what happened. That's what happened with Minato. That's why when you're going up for a throw, they show in his old things, he is almost halfway out of the water to throw so that if they yank him down, he still has a good throw. So that one, I completely forgive them.
Yeah, that's fair then.
completely
I get
that.
it. The more I think about
However-
sports, I think about baseball and stuff.
However, there are two things in this show I thought they did really well.
Okay.
Or in this episode. There are two. One,
All of them?
the turtle metaphor. The turtle metaphor
Yeah,
was
that's
really
cool.
good.
It's
That's
nice.
cute.
I thought that was good because they moved it through the whole episode. They interspersed it the whole way through. I thought that was cute.
And also turtles
The
are pog.
second
Also
one-
turtle.
Turtles are pog.
Also, cute turtle. Who doesn't love a cute turtle?
Is that
The second one that I thought was good was aside from so 3 things, excuse me. I liked him going to the captain. I thought that was a good talk. Aside from all the bullshit that Sean just talked about, which I agree with. The other thing that I liked was we had a little bit of an insight into the family situation of everyone, and
That's
I brought
so
it up
smart.
to Sean when I was watching. It was either they're really good at the game, or at least they're playable at the game, but they don't have a good family life, or they can't play the game, but they have a good family life. I thought that was a neat touch.
We have like
And then
two
there's also
exceptions.
Quiet Kid.
Yeah, who just doesn't matter. His whole we don't
Who
even know
just does
anything
not
about
have
it.
family
He just
life.
started
You guys like the
everything.
you like the fucking English shirt I sent from
Two-
this week, guys?
Yeah, it's a real good photo. To be fair, also Redhead. Also, we don't get to look at his family, but it's fine. He's a good character. He's actually probably the best character in this show. Like the
Yes.
fact that he's
Yes.
mad at his teammates for being like, "Well, you stopped being a team player. Why the fuck?" And it's like, "Well, the plan didn't work." Oh no, shit! The plan didn't work. It was a shitty plan.
The fucking plan.
Yeah.
Plans
Hello?
don't work. Mason said in the call with me, plans evolve in a sport. You can't stick to one plan. How many Haikyuu games do they go, got it, let's adjust the plan?
Yes.
Every Haikyuu game.
Yeah,
But
no,
he's just so
legitimately,
good.
like that. I was so pissed off at that because, like, my first notes were okay. Why the fuck are we trying to give the ball to Minato when we've clearly said he cannot play this sport? Give it to red-haired boy. Also, it's a 2-team sport that is very competitive and very rough. Why the fuck are you sticking to one plan? Those are never going to work. That's why you have plays like a full-on playbook in water polo. it's like football. There are formations that you go for.
You know, my biggest gripe about this show is right now is that it's more focused on revenge than fucking Osamake was. Like every character's backstories, I'm trying to get revenge at the team that wouldn't let me play, and I'm trying to get revenge on the people who left the team, and I'm trying to get revenge on the other school because my brother goes there, and I'm trying to get revenge because I couldn't make it in baseball or the other sport. It's like, goddamn, guys, just
I don't
can't
think
someone
they,
just
I don't think they
can't
all
someone
push
just fucking play water
revenge,
polo on this
but
team?
There's a lot of I mean, and I think Bobby's getting to that point where he's just there to play water polo, and I think Redhead's gotten to the point where he doesn't really care anymore. He just likes playing the game.
Hirashi's actually pretty good at it.
I don't remember if it's him or it's Minato who says the line of "It just started getting fun." I think it's him in his
That's
room.
him.
He's like,
Yeah,
he's
it's
like,
him.
I'm having fun. Why is he possibly gonna leave the team now? This sucks. And like that's why I really like
He's in
it.
the locker room.
One thing that also, like, just a side note, I don't know why it bothered me, but it did, was the shot at the end where fucking Brother Coon Boy is coming in with jammers on and everyone else is in a Speedo and they're all looking at him like he has a third fucking head or something.
Because
And
he just pulled his
I'm just
pants
sitting there
down.
like, yes, jammers exist. There's not just Speedos in the world. Jammers are like the main actually thing that a lot of swimmers use up until the point where they're too fast and need Speedos to cut off fractions of a second.
Yeah, please, honestly, he's probably the one who should be wearing the Speedo. The rest of you getting jammers.
You got to get
Yeah,
rid of those nutsack
legitimately.
drag, dude. You got to get rid of that 2.2 second nutsack drag.
I have a
Okay.
lot
I mean,
of
actually,
other-
yes.
I have a lot of small things I want to compliment the show on, but before that, Michael.
I mean, I have another. I think this episode was really solid. I like what they do
Okay.
with glasses Nerd Kid. As much as it literally the entire idea is that it makes you hate him, it does it in a way that I think like makes sense kind of as why he was so pushy the entire time. I also really like how actually getting confirmation that the reason he was so good comes from the amount of time he spent practicing. Calls back to like 3 episodes ago where he's practicing kicking on his bed and his entire family
Yep.
goes, "Oh, look, he's back at it now. There it is." Because they're used to just hearing random thuds from his room and
And
doing
the
dumb
dent
shit.
on the wall we saw early on when they
Yeah,
took
we
it out of the
it finally
room
explains
that we didn't
exactly
really
what caused
know
it.
what it was.
I also really enjoyed the explanation with the coach, where he's talking about how he would go back and highlight old rule books of how rules changed to understand why they changed, and
how
that's
to abuse them.
that's the reason
Go
Remains
through
not
strategy.
highlighted, not because like it was his favorite thing or something dumb. Like there's a legit reason it's one of the highlighted books. Is it still the show playing on the fact that they want to use that thing in an old book?
Yeah,
to
Yeah,
highlight
that's
it?
100%
why
Yes.
they did it.
But I like getting the explanation for it. Like I like there being a legitimate reason why he had it highlighted. Like I think every part about this episode does a lot to make me like Minato as a character and to make me go, no, actually you're not a bad guy. I already kind of liked you because everyone's been a piece of garbage to you for the whole time, outside of I think
Yeah.
like a handful of people, like his family.
I like the biggest issue with my show isn't the main character or like the sport or like how they're doing like the story overall. It's the fucking characters that are just awful fucking people unless they're in the fucking pool.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Until they're like playing water polo or our teammates outside of red haired boy, I'd argue. Everyone else just a fucking asshole.
I don't have a problem with Bobby.
think
Either.
Cap-
We don't get a lot with Bobby.
Bobby,
like
red
Bobby,
hair.
Bobby and like even the nerd, like they're fine. I get it, but like the main cast that is going to be like the offensive players, like and our goalie, like half of the players like in this show suck. And
That's the
characters.
show's biggest
And that's
problem.
my
Is their
biggest
team
I think
is
the
so
Cap-
bad.
And
I think
like
the
that- and,
captain
like,
is getting better. I give it that.
yeah.
I did really
Once
like
they
the
get the water.
shot. I did really like. I think we're going to get a bit more of the captain next episode because they had that shot where he's eating ramen and then he hears the door open and he immediately leaves because he doesn't want to deal with his dad.
Here's the other
I think
important
that's a
thing
good one.
in that shot. The photo behind him, I think, is him from like middle school, where his
Yep.
hair was black and he hadn't dyed it yet and he didn't go through his rebellious streak.
and his brother.
Like that. I don't think it's his brother. I think
Something
it's
like
him. I think it's him on the photo. I think it's just that he's
I thought it was family member.
something happened in the family with him and his father, maybe a loss of a mother, and he decided that he
Of
was gonna
course.
do what his dad didn't want him to do. We're gonna be talking about remake in a second. It kind of feels like I'm a lawyer, I'm a doctor, you need to be that, and he went, no, I'm gonna play water polo, and then couldn't do that. Like I'm interested to see what they do with him because The reason I think the photo's him, and this is gonna sound real dumb, the eyes seem like the exact same. And I know it's not a good excuse, but it really does feel like it's just him with different hair in the
I
photo.
watched
Yeah.
that show on Monday. It's Saturday. I don't remember all the small details anymore.
Well, I have to
Fair.
skim through to get the screenshot too, so I get a small advantage.
I literally watched the show today, like
Yeah.
maybe 4 hours ago. So
And I got to watch Mason watch the show today. That's another
Yeah.
small advantage I
That
have.
helps.
I truly think this show has a chance to like. I don't think this show should go before the stuff I dislike. That's my big thing with Remade.
Yeah,
I like.
that's fair.
I do enjoy
that's
watching
fair.
it, and
I think all 9 shows have their reason to be back another week, right? Like
Mhm.
within reason.
next week's gonna
Um,
be hard.
The reason why
Next week's
I
gonna be
don't
really-
like Remain is because
I don't
back like last
sports.
last season or last season I'm a big sports guy.
Not on this
Fan of football
podcast.
draft too soon. Okay, no, I like Tyson Samurai. I was a big fan of Tyson Samurai. There's drama.
Which, sorry, I don't
So-
want to interrupt you, but this fits my one point really well. This show has the same problem that 2.43 did, where it hasn't decided whether it wants to be a drama like Taiso
Yep.
or a sports show like Kabaddi. It should
Yep.
be a drama. It should have made that switch now, but Mappa's the studio for it, which isn't fair
And so
because
they're-
Mappa did Taiso, so they can do
they gotta
drama.
make it look pretty.
But they also are choosing
Okay.
not to. But
So here's the thing, I think a season or two ago, you guys asked me what are the top 3 things I like in anime?
Yeah.
And the number one fucking thing I put down every time is characters. And because I hate so many characters in this show, because I think they're just bad people or just bad characters in general outside of the pool, is probably the reason why I put the show at like 9 weekly.
That's
It's
fair.
and I don't like it as much.
That's
Because
why I
I just
have
really
Girlfriend
don't
Wolf
like
at
the
so low.
characters outside of Minato and like red haired guy and occasionally Captain, right?
Yeah.
And like we don't get enough of the other characters to say I like them or not. Like
Wait.
we've heard Bobby talk like 4 times in like 6 episodes.
I'm hoping
You know,
that's the show's pivot from here as they go, okay, as we're building the team back up in time for their next match, let's work through some of their
Okay,
individual problems.
if this team beats fucking
No.
anybody worthwhile, I'm gonna
Yeah,
be really pissed.
If we don't have a literal 4 to 5 month time skip and they win any match,
I think
I think the show has failed.
I think there
Haikyuu,
is
rating-
a
which had
rating of sports
actually good
show.
volleyball players who had played volleyball before and were a solid foundation for a team, got their asses fucking handed to them by any decent competitor.
Yeah, Cross
And the
Note
fact
at the
that-
beginning is a really good team, but they're just
They
not
get
were,
so
good
they were
shitty
enough.
formerly a really good
They're
team
really good
with
at
a solid
volleyball.
foundation of players.
It's
but
not
they
a great
needed
team
stuff.
yet at the beginning of the
Yeah.
class. That's one of their biggest problems is they haven't played enough and they haven't figured out each other enough to be a good
And they
team.
just got a new set.
I would be fine if they rematched the middle schoolers and beat them. Or tied them.
I would be fine if they
Yeah.
were
'Cause
competitive in like
here-
5 months against the other high schools.
Here's my thought.
If
You
they're bad.
spend time improving the team, talking the characters, making them a real ass team. At some point in there, you rematch the middle schoolers or the other team we know is shit as well, and either you tie them or get real close, and then they have an actual first good game. And they have the show ends on a game, not against the school, not against the good school, because that
Not a
should
fucking
happen.
chance.
But they end on a game against somebody, and they barely lose, because that is progression.
give us-
that could work.
give us the Haikyuu treatment.
Yeah.
Like where I'm at right now in Haikyuu, I'm at the point where they're at the practice camp where there's
Training.
four of the best
Yeah,
schools
and they
in
get
the
their
country.
asses
Oh,
repeatedly. That's
Yeah,
that's what
and
I'm
they
saying.
and they lose every single fucking game, and that's fine.
That's how it should
because-
be.
Yeah,
gotta
Okay,
humble the
like-
main cast until
like-
they're actually allowed to be good.
Like,
Yes.
listen, this team shouldn't win a fucking game until Minato has an 8-pack again.
Which, like,
yeah, I agree.
Change my fucking mind on
no,
that.
that's fair.
I mean, you do need a really good core to be a good offensive player in water polo because holy fuck,
See
you
how
are.
far those fuckers get out of the water and stuff? How physical?
Yes, it's
like what?
hard.
Well,
Hello?
Do we want to move on? We got 2 shows
Anyone else have any
left.
points about water polo? I guess so.
Let's go.
Let's remake some lives, Michael.
Michael, do you still have all 3 of
Yeah.
your shows left?
No, because Aquatoka voted off week
Oh,
2.
right. Okay.
I do.
I don't know why I thought. Yeah, give it
I
time.
think Mason does too.
No, Detective got voted off last week.
Oh, let's
Yeah.
go!
Yeah, we've all lost one show except for
I
Dodge.
picked the
Dodge
most
is gonna be
mid shows,
Dodge,
let's
Dodge
go!
is listening
Yeah,
to the
you
show.
both. So like you picked
I
the
picked
most
the
mid
same.
shows.
I picked the safe bet.
I picked
I picked-
the struggle bus for the season.
I picked
Yes.
the best shows.
Mason rolled the 20.
I
Michael-
kind of
So I mean, Remake Our Lives is it's a solid episode this week. We finally we spent the last 5 or whatever episodes going mainly into Shinowaki and Nanako, and now we finally are talking about our 4th dorm member, which
Tsuruyuki.
is where it would go from here, and it makes sense. He paid for college himself, which is the struggle bus, very big struggle bus, because college expensive.
How expensive in college
Does
is
Japan
Japan?
not do loans, or is it just as a private art
That's what I was
school?
wondering,
I'm not
too.
So-
sure.
If I
usually
remember
with that, you probably need
correctly,
to cosign too.
no. So from what I remember correctly, they do the same thing that a couple of different other countries do, where they do loans through the government, but they're loans that have a relatively low interest rate, and you only have to pay them off once you're out of school and have a job, and then it just comes out of your paycheck directly. Just goes straight out, like essentially like taxes.
Yeah.
But it also has if you're paying it off during school, you have a lower interest rate because you're paying off on the principal.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wow, that's
so-
crazy. If
I
only
just
a really
wanted to
well-
understand
well-run country.
if he's made a poor choice.
I mean,
I mean,
like,
he
I
already
like-
made a poor choice.
he might need a
Let's
cosigner,
go into a
right,
fine
or
art school.
something.
Correct.
Yeah.
I like the idea that they're making a video game, because in his brain, this is the platinum generation. At least 2 of them are. And he's like, they can make a video game. I know these other 2 will make great video games in the future. So, and he split second makes it in because he's worked on video games and he knows 2 of them will be very good at it. And I think he has an idea that this guy might be the other member, but he hasn't like actually come out and said it. I think this could be a really cool bit if this fails. Like he actually it doesn't go well because of all the burnout they're getting, or they have a very major fallout between all 4 of them because this just isn't working with the way he's trying to force this too quickly. I like the idea that they all have super major burnout. This didn't just immediately go, oh wow, they made a video game, great, perfect, la 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 la. It's all
Here's
great.
the game. It's so well.
I like how they're showing the process and them all struggling so hard and not knowing what to do here. And also, none of them liking visual novels is also really funny.
Also, none of them having the required pre-knowledge of a dojin to be working on
Yes,
a sex
Yeah.
game.
that was so
To
good.
work on games that are effectively doujinshi.
Yeah.
So one of my favorite things was that I had a couple. One thing I really enjoyed was how everyone was like, I am so tired because I am doing a huge project with a software I have never used before. And I know that struggle way too hard.
Yeah.
Because they did that all fucking time when I was in film school, where it was just like, hey, you're learning how to do After Effects. Here you fucking go. This project's due in a week. It is going to take you 40 hours.
Man, After Effects.
Good
sucks.
luck. Yeah, fuck After Effects. I hate everything Adobe, to be honest. Also, I really enjoyed Keiko this episode because she was just genuinely helpful the whole time. Also, there was one thing where she shows up when he's when he asks her to go to coffee, and she looks like fucking Ame. And I was just like, I get it, but like, why? But yeah, no, like this was a very good episode, I felt.
My problem is this
But-
episode gets bogged down by a few things for me. But Michael, if you want to talk about it
Yeah.
first, because it's your
I mean,
show.
I don't love the introduction of this fiance character. I mean, it makes sense. Like the way there's some bits that are just real
They were kind of leading up to
weird.
it.
Like we see this person like following him or whatever when they're outside, like overhearing them talk, and I was like, oh, I'm like, who's that person connected to? And I guess my brain at the time thought they were connected to someone completely different due to the people that were currently talking.
Yeah.
And it just felt like weird that it was like, this is his fiance, and I went, oh, interesting.
I think I did hint at that while we were watching it too. I was like, this has got to be like a fiance or something stupid. Like he's
I
got something
have
back
no
home.
idea what they're doing with this plot point. I'll be honest.
I think it's one of those
Looking for a
things
way to
of
help
his
develop the
family
game.
wants him to come back home, and it's probably an arranged marriage.
Oh, 100%.
And I think that's the
sense.
thing, is like they're trying to send her to get him to come home.
His family's well endowed, and she's a childhood friend, which means her family's also well endowed.
So
Like,
Yeah.
one of my issues with this episode is I am not the biggest fan of Tsurayuki. I don't really enjoy his conversations with our main character. I don't really enjoy his character writing either. I think he really flips and is volatile, but not in ways that are consistent or make sense in his entire conversation, that it upsets
I-
me.
I can explain that. I can
disagree.
explain that he's a teenager in college having to pay for himself and work for himself, and is overworked and
Exactly.
underpaid.
That's my thing too. I entirely get where he's coming from.
Probably going through
because
depression.
He's being depressed. He's working himself to the bone, and he's also shown himself to be someone that is very stubborn and doesn't like asking for help.
And he's
because
self-isolating.
I get that. I get all those things, and that's why I don't have a problem with his character. I have a problem with the writing. Something about how
That's
the
fair.
show does his dialogue, I don't like it. It doesn't feel like it.
I think
he flips too soon is my problem.
it's the voice actor. I think it's the voice acting.
Maybe
Because he goes from super calm speech to super angry speech right away, and it feels like, whoa, there's no.
But, like,
yeah,
he even
well-
makes the points. He's like, it's you. Come with the big idea. Like, and he says it in a nice way. He's like, you always have a solution to get us through this stuff. And then immediately he flips and he goes, you don't have a solution for this. You can't help me. And then
he flips back.
and
like,
he
"Wait, you
immediately
actually have a solution
flips
for
back,
this?
and it's not even like our main character is like, no, I do have a solution, and it's this. He goes, no, I have a solution. Doesn't give him anything. Tsurayuki then pivots and goes, you know what? I
Fuck, you
do
serious?
trust you. And our main character
Yeah.
goes, yeah, we'll work it out, and doesn't tell him the plan then either.
Like
So
I didn't like that either. I
it-
get that they didn't want to rehash it with the group,
Yeah.
but like
I understand from a storytelling point, perhaps is that scene with Tsurayuki there feels a little rushed. Maybe that's it on my end that I don't like it. I also just don't know how I feel about this happening now in the story. It makes sense. Again, we haven't spent time with him. We need to address what they've been building up with him. But we're also brushing the romance issue off real hard this episode, which is
We're
okay
subtly-
if it does it right.
so. Actually, I don't think they are right.
so
Because they
yeah.
in a lot of the shots, how they do it is they'll frame like a reaction to a statement or something with like you'll see what's his name, Kyoya and Shinaki in the same frame,
Yeah.
right? And then they'll cut to Nanako and she'll react to it, and they won't say anything explicitly about it, but you can see by like the way they animate her and how her reactions to certain like discussions and situations and how as the conversation goes on, they frame that it's still like a present issue, but we
Yeah.
need to cover Tsurayuki's
I-
shit right now, so they can't
Yeah.
really bring it up
I
right now because they accept that
s-
Tsurayuki's a bigger issue than their own
I
love life.
still think she should be a little more upset about it than she is. Because at the start
I
of
think
this
she's-
episode,
She's stubborn enough to hide it. Is the thing.
maybe.
Is
Yeah.
That's my thing.
I'm gonna give the
'Cause
show
she-
the benefit of the
I'm giving
doubt
her the
that
benefit of
this
the
is
doubt,
gonna be
yeah.
I am
okay.
too.
Like because I
As the slice of life simp, I
wholeheartedly.
give her the gold pass for a little bit.
I agree wholeheartedly, and I think this is a really good way to continue to like build that in the moment because the characters are going to build and they're just going to burst. You're going to get to the point where you can't take anything, so they're going to kitchen sink at some point where they're going to get mad. They're going to say everything that's upsetting them, and that's going to be a topic. And
Which is good.
And like again, so this could be really good.
If it's done
Thi-
right.
This episode just feels. This episode has me worried that the show, like, this is the part of the show. It's mid-season. It has a chance to have like a 3 or 4 episode lull where I really don't enjoy it, and that's happened before. And this episode gives me those vibes. It's gonna do it. And of course, we have the elephant in the room that this show has a recap episode at 6.5, and I don't know if 7's gonna be out by the time we do the next
It
episode.
looks like it might just be out.
But I also make the argument of I don't know if it's fair to the other shows to watch it if it comes out.
We'll discuss it in the
We
chat.
will
I think-
have to discuss it.
I'm gonna volley that we do mainly because I fucking love this show.
I agree.
My
You're
argument,
intentionally sitting behind on all these shows.
I know. My argument is though, it wouldn't be fair on the week-to-week basis with every other show to do that, and we couldn't and haven't done it in the past. And other shows have gotten 0.5s and not gone off and been fine. And I think this show
the issue
will
is
be
because
fine.
usually those shows air in the middle of the week, whereas this one
Correct.
airs on the weekend. And because we're running a week ahead of every other show and a week behind other ones, it's the only discussion we've been able to have. Because usually it's like, okay, it's a recap episode. The show airs on Wednesdays.
I'm just saying.
Well,
Yeah,
I think-
we've never had the situation before where we could have watched the thing after a week
I think
because
there's
we're
definitely
never
benefits to
behind.
both.
I just
I don't think the show's at risk.
I don't think the
either
show's
way.
at risk to go next week, which is why I think there's an argument to taking in the recap episode and generally being disappointed with it for a week, as opposed to giving it the benefit of, oh, it has the extra show out. Like, because I don't know how fair it is when the podcast's point is to do it on week by week, but we can talk about that later. We can. I'm interested to hear other thoughts on this show, because just there's like this sense of this could drop the ball for me, which is why it's below the other three this week.
I think
for
that's
top
the
four.
risk you run with every single
Absolutely.
romance show ever. Is, man, I hope the climax isn't just the only main part of the show, right? But the show luckily has good characters
Yeah.
that support it even when it is a little bit boring, like right now. I some of my notes. The Shinoaki ship so far is sailing nicely. I think it's cute. But it's also preparing for crashing and burning, which I'm fine with because Kawasagawa is my go-to hopeful end here. We have Eiko, who has a scene where she comes in near the end and is apparently joining in the project to help save the day a bit, because she is the best girl. Other notes, Tsuruyuki having the only actual Asian parents in this entire show is funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Kyoya has to be the fastest thinker in the history of anime, because that dude comes up with ideas and fully developed plans within fucking 26 seconds every time.
Yeah.
It's actually the only like major like he's just here to like press plot. And my biggest issue is, again, still, where the fuck are these characters if he's not in the show? That is the biggest issue I have, is it doesn't explain how these characters exist to be great without him being the driving force. And that's one of the biggest things that bothered me about this entire show, is like, is he just the problem, or is he like the solution that they had but didn't have to get to where they are? And that's why I have an issue, right? You know what I'm saying?
I have a thought about that. I don't know.
I
Does
know.
the show ever say that they were great? They were a great generation of stars while they were in college. I always thought the implication was they all happened to graduate from the same place.
Did they all
So-
graduate from the semester, or did they just
Yeah,
all go
they
there?
may not have
they
even
all said they
Did
went.
graduated.
Tsuruyuki even graduate?
We don't know. So I think that's a really interesting point. And Michael brought it up earlier. He's pushing them really hard to do something right now, which he has good reason to do it. But he might be overestimating their abilities, and
That's what I
this
was
might
thinking.
flop.
Yeah, we've talked about
It-
right?
Yeah.
Where it's like, is he becoming more of a problem, or is he like becoming the solution to problems?
And I think the interesting thing for me is, does he confide in anyone about this? Like, how do you
Is-
tell someone that, yeah, I'm from the future? Like, can he do that? Is he going to do that? There's a
Hey,
lot of
the-
really good
Hey,
potential
the Red
in
Sox
the
win
show.
tomorrow, 3-6. Hey, that David Ortiz guy, he's gonna be a legend in about 10 years. Hey, I mean, he already partially did it. Hey, man, imagine if there was a Japanese-only site where you could upload videos. Wouldn't that be crazy? Yeah, that'd be crazy. Oh wait, it happened. Fuck.
Did it happen in like 6 months after, or like 2 months after?
Like,
a
I feel like he
semester
has.
after-
I feel like there are only very particular people so far he can tell. I don't think the main cast is it.
No.
The only person I think possibly could be
Kawasagawa.
Kawasagawa, and we still need
Kawasagawa.
more time before he can get to
Yeah,
that.
I'll also
I
say
wasn't including her, and that
Kawasagawa's
was rude of
sister,
me.
the teacher, is also an excellent character.
Yeah.
And that scene with that where he's like, how does she know? Oh, she's on it. She knows I'm full of shit. And then the fucking Lolly senpai comes up behind. You're like, that's funny.
Yeah, I will say I do like how this episode doesn't just hard focus on the whole romance thing.
Yeah.
Because much like real life, shit will go on
No,
that
for
isn't
sure.
just the romance
Yeah.
part.
It
School is
takes
still
time
happening.
to come to a head, right? And if
I-
other issues are present, you're not gonna bring that shit up while you're dealing with other shit. You ain't got time to deal with your own shit when you got other like schoolwork to do.
I think
You know how it is.
I think my issue was they
Absolutely.
gave them that little opening where they could have talked about it, and then they rushed us into this next plot point. If they would have just thrown us into the
Yeah.
plot point, I wouldn't even really be thinking about it. I would be on the exact same where I'm like,
See,
yeah, stuff
the
comes
thing is,
up.
If you've ever like, for me, like I kind of get it to a bit
Oh, I
of the
do
situation where it's like you see this stuff and you're like, I'm not gonna talk to them about my romantic issues because frankly I don't want to talk to them at all right now.
That's fair.
You know what I'm saying? Like I think that's the biggest point they're making is like she doesn't want to bring this up yet
It's not-
because she needs to process it too,
Yeah.
right? And she was just coming to terms with her own feelings on this as well. So she might just brush it off. She might eventually come to head with this, and obviously there's gonna be a whole blow up scene. It's gonna be great. I'm gonna love that shit because that's right up my alley. But like,
This is one
I'm
of
fine with
those-
them putting it to the side for
This
now.
is one of those I'm so used to garbage anime where they just handle things straightforward that I'm not used to a good anime. That
I'm not
bases
used
their
for a
lives
ticking
its
time bomb
characters
being
on real
present.
life. Yeah. Like so this is one of those the show's doing a good thing and my brain's just not used to it.
It's a romantic
So-
issue foreshadowing in a show that has other good plot points. That's not just the romance, right?
Do we have other thoughts on remake?
If you don't support the Kawasagawa train, you don't belong in my friend group.
Always support the Kawasagawa train. I'm a sucker
Kawasagawa.
for redheads.
Kawasagawa to the moon.
True, redheads are great.
Like,
True.
who's not on the Kawasagawa train, guys? Come on, really?
Can we, Dodge, before you start?
Yeah.
Can I say something?
Yeah, absolutely.
I was waiting for something in this show, and it obviously came this week if you look at my power rankings. And part of me feels like it's Nagara because I really, really love his character. But the other part of me just thinks it's how fucking beautiful this scene is in this show, bro.
Oh my god, dude.
Them
I
in
assume the picture you
water
have is the fish
so
picture?
Good. Yeah, it's them in
Okay.
the water.
I'm so glad my power came back.
Oh,
on.
they
I can
did
watch
the
that whole
PA
thing.
Works thing. Look at them go.
Oh man, dude. Like this episode did everything that we like about this show again.
Yeah.
Right? It had its use of silence, right? Where it makes you, it says we are having dialogue, you are focusing on the dialogue, nothing is going to distract you from the dialogue. Focus on the fucking characters right now, right?
Yep.
Like, here's the situation. Here's what's happening. Like they explain stuff. Mizuho spins in a chair, which is hilarious. That's what everyone does, right? She's like, I'm not in this conversation. I'm just going to enjoy myself and my cats. Nozomi mentioned stuff that's foreshadowing. She was in a hospital at one point. She mentions being told doctors by some stuff. What's that about? Will that matter? I don't fucking know. I don't fucking care because there's a mouse who's now a computer mouse who unravels things. Because
The mouse
apparently
is adorable.
each of these dimensions that he's traveled to, these new worlds that he's created, as they solve problems, remnants are left behind, which we already saw when they solved the curtain issue. That little cloak was left behind that can travel to these other worlds, right? You have the teacher, Mrs. Aki, who's saying they can't go back home, who's being a villain for this because she's trying to control our other good boy, who's our MC Escher boy, as I call him. And it's like,
I don't even
it's
think he's a good boy. He's kind of an asshole.
I like that there's a villain here, right?
He's a misled youth.
Causing problems, who also has another god in her head that might be different from Starboy's god, right?
Or she's just
like-
full of shit.
And now we have, was it Mizuho who says she heard the same voice,
No,
right?
yeah,
Who's Nanami
Mizuho.
the whole time, because Nanami is always fucking God. This show is so good, dude. It's so good. Every like little like detail is so finely tuned, and it's not number one this week because I like what Real Hero did for its like overarching like universe. But like, man,
It's really
this
hard
show
not to
just
put
does
this at
so
one,
many
though.
really cool things so well. Like, it doesn't make any sense still, but like it makes perfect sense at the same time because they explain everything. They explain everything that's going on, right? And then they also have like the overarching plot of like everyone's starting to hate our main character again and ostracize him, which is the whole fucking issue with guys. Maybe you're the fucking problem why he's a loner because you're assholes, and everyone's a fucking asshole to this character over and over again. Like, you guys don't think he has issues because of this? And like the scene where they're like, we have the people and things to get back to was like,
It's as
Bruh.
bad as some of the remain
Yeah.
stuff, dude.
Fuck
It has
off.
that same fucking energy.
It
But,
has
like-
the same energy, but I feel like it's more
but these aren't the main cast you're
like
supposed
it's
to like.
justified. It's
These
more
are-
justified
Oh,
for them at
yeah.
least because it's implied that they've been there for months.
They've been there
on
for
end
months.
now.
Yeah, I get it too. Like, yeah, people are gonna start going crazy and looking for people to blame. I get that. It's just also like, yeah, we're supposed to hate these characters. You're supposed to dislike Hoshi, right? They're not supposed to be the main cast. Your
hold
main
on.
group is those 5 characters,
Let's talk
right?
about that. Hoshi's not.
Oh.
Hoshi and the student council
Hoshi's
are
so
not a part.
fucking-
Hoshi,
They're not a
they're
part
okay,
of that
true
group.
neutral.
No. So that was the thing that I really liked about this
Yeah,
episode
this
too.
is
Was
really good.
Hoshi was the reason why the rest of our good people, Raj, Mizuho, and Nozomi, all got to Nagara
Yeah.
at the end.
At
was
the
because
same time,
she
Hoshi-
took. Oh,
Yeah, go
sorry.
There you go.
Yeah, no, it was because she took that curtain from the previous episode, which I'm really happy they acknowledged. Like, they didn't do the thing that they did last week, where it's like, okay, we're just going to ignore what happened the previous week and the
Monkey
week before
baseball.
that. We're
Monkey
going to
baseball.
actually like acknowledge that the other episodes happened. I really liked that, where it was like, okay, this is an item that we drew attention to. We're not just going to kind of leave it as this random ass thing. We're going to use it now.
What a great use of character to establish. This feels like an enemy of my enemy is my friend kind of situation
Yes.
with Hoshi and the
Yeah.
student council because I don't trust him. I think he's the
But-
bad guy
but
in
at
the
the
long
same time,
run.
Hoshi recognizes that his god tells him that this kid is the saver, whereas her god is telling him the other guy's the saver.
Or
is there
she's
not at all?
full of
Or
shit.
she just has him full of shit, right?
Yeah.
And at the same time, like we have like, I feel like me or Nozomi is the person we all need in our lives to drag us into uncomfortable situations to discover new things, right? Get me out the house, get me to go do stuff, right? And she's that exact person that he needs, but at the same time, Mizuho also, likes the guy,
I love
right?
their
Also-
dynamics.
I like the
Also-
dynamics. And Mizuho revealed she's been told by this guy that she's the reason they ran adrift to begin with.
So
They dropped that
I
in there.
really, I really liked Nozomi had a fucking amazing line during that monologue before jumping into the water with the fish, and it was basically her telling Nagara, "Don't let other people tell you how much you're worth."
Mhm.
That was a fucking stellar monologue that she got, and it you can tell that it actually resonated with him. It's one of the first things, or one of the only things that's actually resonated with him. Of someone told him a thing and he actually listened.
So, shout outs to my boy Astral Bread on my anime list. He makes a point in his review, and this is actually important why I'm talking about it. He makes a point that she is the manic pixie girl archetype of character, and I can understand looking at her character and thinking that, but holy shit, if you can't understand why that archetype exists, about the idea that kids and people and teenagers and even adults get treated like growing up is so important, and that having a creative mindset and wanting to explore and enjoy the world is people think it's such a bad thing, and they try to restrict people, especially people who aren't working on the same mental spectrum as others.
Yeah.
Those characters exist for a reason, and she is so wonderfully handled. And I also really enjoy the fact that this show gives us the scene with the two of them, but then also gives Mizuho the scene with Nagara where they find him and she yells at him, and then at the end of it, you can
And
tell
starts
she's doing it because
crying.
she loves him, she cares about him, and she doesn't want him to let other people get her down and get him down, and it worries her. She would be very upset without him. And having both of those dynamics show in the episode is great, because you have a character who is necessary for Nagara to grow, and a character who realistically is probably the better person for him to wind up being with in the long run, because they're grounded, so to
So,
speak.
I don't think
They vibe off each other.
The more that I think about it, the less I think Nozomi is actually being portrayed as a romantic interest.
Yeah.
And she is more just a
Friend.
a friend and a guiding and a guidance more than anything. And Mizuho is being more portrayed as the actual romantic interest.
Yeah.
It's almost
And
like
I'm
Nozomi's being
A-OK
portrayed
with
as his compass, per se.
Yeah, exactly.
There is an interesting thing to talk about in this show, where we end on the shot of her saying, "Look how bright it is," and they zoom to the sky and we see nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have we ever not seen the light when she sees
We've never
it?
seen anything that she
No.
sees.
No, I
No, we
swear
saw
we've
it the
seen the
first
lights
time.
before.
We
No,
saw
I
the light
think
the
we've
first time.
we've seen we see it in the first episode
Maybe the
Okay.
first episode.
when she
we see it.
looks off the school.
It
I
shines
haven't
into
been
her, yeah.
paying
And doesn't
as
get
much.
it.
I thought we saw when she was looking at the island stuff too, but
No,
Yes.
I'm
Also,
90% sure
like-
she has not seen it since.
Can we talk about how
Like
the fact
us.
that Nagara's power they once again rewrite to being not escaping or moving to different worlds. It's creating worlds, right?
Yeah.
And the island that they're on now isn't just a fixed version of the island, right? It's a whole entirely new island, right?
so hear me out. What's the possibility that Asakaze's power is destroying worlds? And because of the
Asakaze?
fact that his name's Asakaze. He's the
MC Escher Boy.
See Escher
Yeah.
Boy?
Think about it. If Nagara created the school area for them, it could just be because this man destroyed their original world. We have no proof it exists right now. And in that regard, Nagara is a savior because he pulled them into somewhere safe.
And there's a reason why they can't go back to the original world, like Aki Sensei mentions,
Because
because it doesn't fucking exist anymore.
think about it. How did they get out of the world Nagara created? He just fizzled it out. He doesn't it doesn't technically show they leave it. We don't know if it exists still. I think it's very interesting
They
how the
blink
show
out, yeah.
plays with the power dynamic and how it evolves. I also just every scene with the whole collective cast and all of them just talking about Nagara, the whole well, you heard Miss Aki, some of us had powers beforehand, and the half that group knows she's telling the truth, and the other half doesn't believe. They're split amongst themselves, and even some of them who are going along with her don't seem to trust her.
It's
Or
the mob,
Glass
it's the
Yeah.
mob mentality.
or Glasses Boy doesn't seem to necessarily fully want to hate Nagara, but also isn't going to go against the crowd.
And you have our star boy who's like, how dare she say she thinks she hears God? I hear God. That's my bit. Like,
I've been
fuck
hearing
this
God
bitch.
since I was a tiny baby.
Yeah.
Get fuck off.
I am still
I am
waiting for
God.
when I'm still waiting for when they're going to come back to that shit they left off on the like 2 episodes ago.
When he's at the
where-
monolith.
Yeah, where he's at the monolith with the fucking berserk moon on it, and he's just
I
talking
just
to
thought
God.
about it. She has the cloth when she goes and walks in on him at that monolith.
Oh, yeah,
She
you're right.
totally has it with her.
Does she walk in on him at the monolith,
Yeah.
or is she?
Yeah.
I don't remember seeing her walk to
Well,
him at the monolith.
when
I
they
just remember
when
him
they
seeing her
shoot
at the monolith.
behind him and she's there, she has the cloth.
Oh, I didn't see her being there.
Yeah,
behind
with
it. I don't
she has
remember
the
that.
curtain cloth.
It's the
I
other
thought that was
student
a
coun-
sep-
it's
I thought
the
that was
other
a
student
separate
council
scene.
one.
The
I
one,
thought
the
that was
one
a
at the
separate
very
scene.
like that at the very beginning was super a stickler on the rules with the little bangs in the
Yeah,
front.
the actual student council president who cheated. Yeah. Yeah, she came to them with the cloth in this episode. I thought those were two separate scenes where she finds the cloth and then has that scene, and then like it cuts to him
Maybe
at the shrine.
It felt like the
I think
same,
they're
but
separate.
maybe I might have to go
I think
back
it feels like the
and rewatch
same
that.
because it's the same environment, but like, well, at the
I'll have to go back.
either
and
way,
check that.
We can look back.
the show's
at it.
fucking nuts.
The
Like I
show's
have
so
like
good.
all my shows have like 3-4 lines. This show has like a fucking paragraph of shit that I write every week because there's just so much density of like, and it's so open to interpretation. Is
Yeah.
the cool thing, right? Like we all have our different theories of what's going on and like what these people do and like what the end goal of the show is, but like we're all just stuck here along for Nagara's ride through different worlds that he's creating now. Apparently,
Also, one thing I thought was really funny: the fucking mouse is just like a JoJo stand, where it's like, yeah, it can unravel things, including
Oh.
code.
Yeah, it's one of those very vague definitions of unravel.
you have the
Yeah.
old
You know-
glasses.
You know what this episode really makes me want? It makes me want an old tiny point and click adventure game of Sunny Boy, where you just go around the worlds, collect the items, use the items, solve the problem, get to the end of the story. It'd be
I think
so
that's
good.
Again,
I think it's a cool idea that they get a bunch of different items for all
Yeah,
the worlds they
It's
complete.
really,
though, like
it's
right.
Yeah.
really
It's
cool.
such a cool like it's such a cool way to incorporate that cloth right back into the story.
Which is
Yeah.
an interesting point. The monkey flashlight very easily could have been from a world that Ace was in, helping them with, or something, and that he just
Yeah.
took it.
And the guy just found it and
Yeah.
claimed it as his own. Which then again, what do they get for completing the monkey world? Right? We don't know yet.
that's
See,
a really cool thing of like, okay, we have to figure out what the problem is in this world, and then once we solve it, we get a thing that will help us later. It's a mystery. It's a surprise tool that will help us later.
Mystery Mouse tool.
Mr.
See, the thing with the show is that there's about 1,000 more things I want to say about this episode in my head. Well, first thing, the scene where he breaks down and cries was fucking wonderful.
Yes,
It
was
hurts so
good.
much.
I
Because
love
you
him
hear
so
him crying
much.
before you see him crying. It's
And it
very
felt-
clear
it felt like
due to the
real
way he
crying,
sounds and
too.
he's
I
crying.
don't like
And
him
also-
so
hurting.
well done.
And also, it's like it's the first time we see him show actual emotion, aside from a slight smile or
Just being deadpan.
clamming up.
Deadpan
two.
like bitch boy.
The big thing. The one scene during this episode where we get music is the only lighthearted scene in this entire episode, which is them fishing. Because the music is to signify to the viewer nothing bad is going to happen right now. You can
Wouldn't
calm down. You
Would it
Yeah,
be a
don't
JRPG
expect
if we
some
didn't have a
bad
fishy
shit.
mini game, boys?
And my
Ah.
big third thing, the teacher doesn't look like their art style. There's something about her
Yeah.
that
It's the eyes.
She
It's
just
the fucking
feels-
eyes.
yeah, her eyes are just like slightly
Her
too
eyes are
big.
too bright.
There's something about her. She just doesn't look like she belongs in this group
looks
at
possessed.
all.
I mean, they even say it, right? They even say that she doesn't feel the same as when they used to know her. Like, she
Yeah,
feels...
exactly.
There's just something she feels super out of place.
This
here.
show's gonna get really fucking wild.
She's
soon.
a creation
Oh,
by a
you
negative
guys are also
entity
you guys also
to
haven't
fuck with
mentioned
people.
Mizuho's "What is my power anyway?" line, which
Yeah.
is implying maybe the Amazon is not her power, but the cats,
Yeah,
and she just asks the cats to do it for her, and she might have a different power that's more connected to this world.
So I wanted to look at this real quick.
I mean, she's they said she's the reason they are here, right? That was one of the big lines too that they just casually talked about that she brought up with what's his name? Chandra? Akana Chandra, I think, or something like that.
Talking about
Raj. Yeah.
Raj.
She brings that up just with him, right? In isolation. Doesn't talk with Nagara, doesn't talk with Nozomi, which is a very important point to make because we're
I-
all assuming he's the good guy here too, right? But who the fuck knows what's actually going on? Because he
Yeah.
seems to know way too much and be way too invested in all this stuff,
You
I
just
trust
which is fine. I like
Raj.
him. I trust him.
I trust
but, like,
Raj.
that's
You
the
also-
problem. I watch enough anime that I know that's exactly when they stab you in the back at the end. You know,
also reminded me.
you know damn well what I'm talking about.
You reminded me too. I really liked the scene that Raj had where Nozomi asks, "Hey, are you religious?" And he goes, "No,
Oh.
I'm not religious, but I do have faith."
He's
I thought that was a yeah. I thought that was a
giant
Me.
Buddha.
That's me.
yeah. I thought that was a very good scene as well.
I
I can
also
think of
en-
agnostic as like open to interpretation.
I also
Like-
really enjoy.
It's like there might be a god, but like I don't care enough to.
I don't
like,
care if it's your god
worship
or
it.
your god or your god. If there's one, there's one. Great. If I die and I'm just in the dirt, yeah, that makes sense for science.
I also really, really enjoy the scene where Nagara's about that Nagara's waking up and or they just came back from the fishing scene, whichever one it is, and Raj goes, "Okay, so by the way, the other people don't think you're a savior, but I want you to know," and he's about to say something it sounds like he's about to go, "I want you to know you're important and I care about you as a friend," but he gets cut off by the mob who's coming to interrogate him in a clash trial.
Yeah.
And the fact that Raj recognizes that things are not going to go well for Nagara and goes, "But I do actually care about you and I want you to know," it's such a nice scene that like we
It
don't get to
really
see
is.
unfold.
He has his own friend group now.
Yeah.
Like he's
yeah.
got
It's nice that we have our close knit four.
It's the outcasts.
It's
And
unfortunate.
the idea is, I think that Asakazu was also an outcast.
Yeah, it's
So
unfortunate.
the five of
that
them
he's
stuck
getting
because they
pulled
were
away.
outcasts, but now he's being a dickhead.
Well, he's getting
He's-
manipulated. He's getting pulled
he's
away.
getting manipulated
Yeah.
because
I mean,
he's
he also
getting
before
what
this
he wants.
was very clearly super jealous of all the attention
Yeah.
that Nozomi was giving
But
to
you're allowed.
Nagara.
I feel like
he was being a
allowed to
super
be
big dick
jealous,
about
right?
it.
Like you're
I
allowed.
feel like a
to
lot of
be
these
jealous and act
powers
that
these
way.
guys have, by the way, I feel like a lot of them are related to what these people want.
Yeah.
To a degree. Like
Yeah.
he wanted to just escape to another world so he can make other worlds. Like Nozomi wants to find a direction of where to go in her life because she's just so spontaneous, right? Maybe. And so she has the ability to find a way that she wants to find a way to. You have our other boy, who I keep forgetting his name. And I just call him MC Escher Boy, and I will
Yeah.
always call him MC Escher Boy. But like
Atsukaze.
he felt worthless in the other world. He says that in the scene. He has a scene in
Mhm.
the lake. He's like, I don't want to go back to that world because I felt worthless there. Like I have worth here,
Which
right?
think about it. If
And I have
he's-
power here.
It's really funny. She says he creates the hole to like stop the meteor from impacting the island, but we also don't know if he also may have just also created the meteor too,
Yeah.
because he wants
Yeah.
to be important.
We also know if he just created I'm pretty sure he did create the meteor. That's what they said, and that created the hole, right?
Well,
The way it
I think-
sounded was that she was saying that like he made the hole so that the meteor doesn't impact and destroy and sink the island. Was how I
Well,
took it.
so
Mhm.
I will say I think it is him creating the meteor because it does a close up at one point of what the meteor actually is, and it's a skateboard,
Yeah.
and like the only person that seems like they would be a skater in this like in
him.
the old world is him.
Yeah.
And it's like he wants to feel important, right? So now he has a way to feel important with everybody. And then you have, Raj has stuff that's related to his stuff. It's very, scientific and it's very colorful, right? And we have the Amazon and whatever. Mizuho also wanted to escape, right? And she's the reason we're on a drift. So it's like
so she's being told her she's
maybe
able
that's her
to.
real power was to just set them adrift, right? And the show also does a good job of explaining why there's a mob and like it's so easy for him to be our target and it makes sense, right? Because
last
yeah,
episode
it
set
would
this
make
up
sense
so
to think
well,
he just
too.
doesn't want to go back because he doesn't have reason to go back, and now he has attention, he has friends, right? So it's like, I get it. You like we see more because we like the characters and these are our main characters and like they're just good people, right? But at the same time, like you can't fault these people who have been adrift for months, going slowly insane probably, who might or might not have superpowers they don't know about, right? And it sucks
But-
because they're just these bystanders to literal gods playing with their lives is what it feels like.
But I can fault them for not making the effort to try to connect with someone they've been stranded
Yeah.
with for multiple months, or any of
Did,
his friends.
did they
to
not learn the
about
fucking
him.
lesson from
No.
the curtains where they
No.
isolated people?
Absolutely not.
Exactly.
None of them gave a fuck.
Exactly.
And so one of the things I think is really neat, because we know this about Nagara, is that Nagara doesn't want. Nagara just wants to exist. He just wants to do his own thing. He doesn't like putting in the that was his whole thing at the beginning. Was he was content with just laying there. just doing his own thing, just existing, letting life go by. He didn't seem happy with the implication that he would just be fine not existing, right? Like he didn't like he also didn't like being confronted about well, you don't chase anything either. Like
He's like he's like the protagonist of Hyoko, where he's just like
Yeah.
conserving energy.
But like if you think about it, it makes sense that Nagara's power then would be to create spaces because he just wants somewhere to be. Like he just wants to, like he's not necessarily escaping anything. He doesn't really have anything to escape. He just wants to exist. So in that regard, I really like the thing about this show is everything has so many different interpretations you can take about it,
Yeah.
and all of them make sense and work because of what the show gives us.
Exactly.
It's incredible.
The last thing I'll say about this show, and what's probably my favorite part of watching the show, is the hard cuts they do.
Yes.
Like, especially when they change scenery using Nagara, like the hard cuts are so fucking perfect every time. Like when the mob's coming after him and she's channeling the thunderstorm and the lightning strikes and boom, hard cut to a different room. It's just completely different color, blank space, right? Sound cuts out completely. It's back to void noise. We had music before this, and like now it's nothing again. Not a sound outside of the mob. Like it's just the hard cuts and the visuals of the show are so simplistic but so perfect for every scene.
Like this
Thank
show is
Thank you, Madhouse.
this show is a masterclass on 1, hard cuts and jump cuts, and 2, sound design. The sound design in the show is fucking stellar. Like those
And
are
doesn't surprise you
Yeah.
based on who are the people
yeah,
doing
exactly.
it, right?
It's Madhouse.
Like, and this staff
Madhouse.
is packed.
Yeah.
Shout outs to this voice cast. I just looked at Nagara's voice actor. He's done like nothing. So this is like, I hope he goes places.
Yeah,
with
no, they're
this,
doing
'cause he's
I do too.
incredible. Like the most notable thing I noticed is he was a supporting character in Wandering Witch. He's a side character in Haiku to the Top. He was Mitsuru from Darling in the Franxx.
I never saw
So
that
that
show.
was probably where his
I need to watch
stuff-
the train wreck.
He was in Boogie Pop and stuff like that, but doesn't seem to be any. I
Dude,
think the
read
only
manhwa.
main character role he's had is the archery club show with the boys.
Is that manhwa like Korean manga?
Yes, manhwa, if I'm correct, is stuff like Tower of God, right?
Power of
Yeah.
God,
Yeah.
God of
The
High School.
Korean word
Noblesse.
for manga.
Oh.
I
essentially.
do want to say
Noblesse,
I don't really read it, but we have a friend who's really big on a DJ. I know he really likes Noblesse, even though he doesn't think the anime did it justice. Everyone loves Tower of God and God of High School.
I need to watch, or I need to read Solo Leveling
That's
as
the
well.
one I hear is really good.
Isn't that
He's
Chinese
super
one?
high
It's
on
definitely not
Solo.
manhwa.
No, it's Korean.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Yeah, Solo Leveling's the other one I was gonna say.
There is a Chinese one that is similar to it though. That's what it was. There's the Chinese like mobile one. But yeah.
But those would definitely be the recommendations I would give, or those big four, because those are the four that I've heard. I haven't really delved into it to know a lot of other stuff, but I mean, I'll
Yeah,
tell
watch
you,
Sunny Boy.
Webtoon, Webtoon in terms of content has a lot of interesting
And it's
reads
all
on
colored.
it. Yeah, like the stuff people make on Webtoon, as long as you're
crazy.
fine waiting for very long updates, because it takes a lot of work. There's some really great stuff that comes out on Webtoon, and you're better off just sorting by genre and finding it. That's what I'll say. Are we
Yeah.
ready to cast
But,
votes?
Every week,
No,
like
I,
we
wa-
talk.
I,
Yeah, you can go
there's
ahead.
just one other thing from Sunny Boy I wanted to mention.
Yeah, sure.
Is the Nozomi broken vase flashback.
Yes.
What?
She was a rich
What?
girl. She just wanted to have freedom.
Like it shows very little. It explains enough, but I also want more.
That's
I
like, my
just-
interpretation is like a rich girl was super locked up and reserved, couldn't do anything, and now she gets to do whatever the fuck she wants.
But like I
School
can't
was her
tell
only
if
freedom.
she's the one who broke the vase or if it was like fucking thrown at her. Because we don't see
We-
half of
that-
her head.
There you go. It's up for interpretation, man.
So I just realized when I submitted that I used my actual name and I didn't mean to do that. I just went on autopilot.
That's okay. I'll just ignore it, and I
That's
won't
funny.
show anything this week in terms of that.
Yeah, we definitely don't call you by your actual name on this podcast.
Well, he has
all
the last
time.
name there too, which is his point.
That's funny.
Yeah.
That's
That's
funny.
a baller. That
Dude,
last name really fits you. That's all I'll say.
Wait,
Yeah,
really?
it
I
does.
read it, and I'm like, yeah, you look
agree.
like that.
Like the crazy thing about this show is every week we talk so much about how amazing and how crazy it is, and like every week we're like, number 2, you know, because it's like it's
mean, this
so
was my
weird.
number
It's so
1.
weird. Like, yeah, sometimes we put it number 1, but like it's like this is the most consistently crazy like top 3 show. Like it's so hard to put this show low in my list.
Yeah,
every week.
absolutely, because it's good.
I get Monkey Baseball last week. It was a little fucking out there, but like
I
Baseball.
just still can't get
Monkey
over the
Baseball.
fucking home plate shit from last week.
Did like the 3 pixel shift.
I'm just glad to have gotten what I wanted out of this.
I'm
and
just
have
glad
finally reached
Cloverworks
that
didn't get
level.
this anime adaptation.
You can tell the show is really good because we don't talk about whether it's good or not. We just
Talk about it.
give theories about things we want to see happen or what is currently happening.
Yeah.
I will say, man, this season's nice. We're actually talking about shows. They aren't like necessarily so cut and dry. I mean, this week is cut and dry, kind of, but
Other than Sunny Boy. But yeah.
no, I mean, we talked a lot about some of the shows this week because some of them have a lot to talk
Yeah.
about. Some of them are going after we've talked a lot
Yeah.
about them, but
That's because we talked a lot about why we're annoyed, why we think the show is decent, but also is doing Peach Boy things.
upsets me so much, dude.
Oh man, like oh man.
It's like Wandering Witch, but the timeline is actually matters that it's out of order. Because
Well-
Wandering Witch, it didn't really matter because it was just random events.
While I'm waiting for everyone to submit, I will say
Tree Lance.
I never do this, and I should do this every single podcast. Hi, if you've caught the stream, please follow. Come join us. We generally have been going live this time period on Saturday and or Sunday nights. So we at least on this side of the podcast have an actual schedule. The channel has a link to the YouTube
Yikes.
channel, so you can check out some of the older content. I promise I'm gonna get stuff uploaded. I ran into a small snag where I went to go do it and then was like, why am I not being able to upload the same way I used to? I know what the problem was. I'm a dingus. That's all it is. I actually know what I'll be doing, so I'm gonna be at my sister's watching my nephew in the coming days, so I'll probably have the uploads going in the back. I have to upload a finale for fall of last year, and then I'll start getting everything else up.
Before I forget, once we're done, I have an idea for something that
Great.
I think could be funny.
Okay.
Mr. Krabs.
Also, yes,
I got an
absolutely follow the
idea.
channel. Follow the subscribe to the YouTube channel too, because we're hopefully gonna start putting out more content. There is a chance that like winter will be the season where just nothing will be coming out, or fall. Or fall, not fall. It's gonna be winter. Where winter's not gonna have anything that looks good, and we might just go, you know what? No Anime or Fray that season, and we might just shit out a bunch of content. Unfortunately, we're definitely doing Anime or Fray for the fall.
Oh yeah.
The lineup
Just-
seems insane, potentially.
I mean, Chainsaw Man
Yeah.
alone. Chainsaw Man
Continue.
could be the only thing we would.
Yeah,
still
if I don't get the
watch.
number one
Chainsaw
pick,
Man,
maybe I
Blue
don't
Period,
do
and
it.
Komi are their 3 really big ones.
Yeah.
Komi's the
Blue Period,
really-
Komi-san.
I haven't heard about Blue Period.
Blue
I'm
Pe-
excited to
that's
see what
gonna
they do with
be-
Komi.
My friends.
God,
who-
man, I'm really gonna lose because I picked the fucking romance show because Chainsaw Man exists, like Jujutsu Kaisen all over again. Fuck.
I
What I say,
have-
Blue Period is one of the greatest stories. Like our one friend who has read it.
Yeah, he.
I think he said he got earrings because the main character wears earrings in it or something.
So he's a
Miyamura?
big fan of
That's
Dorohedoro.
what made me
He's a big fan of Chainsaw Man, and along with that, he told me, read Blue Period. You have to read it. And this was before it was getting the anime adapted. He's like, you are going to love this. And he's like, as a creative, you need to read Blue Period, and that terrifies and excites me about it. So I'm hoping it's gonna be stellar when we watch. But yeah, please drop follows. Please drop a subscription to the YouTube channel. We have some really fun content we want to do. I know we have some things we're talking about doing them on. Whether or not they're going to be on this Twitch channel or whether we do them on something like Dodge's, which we do host Dodge's channel whenever he is live.
Yeah, I stream every now and then.
The J Man
Uh,
27.
That's the
Mason,
thing
do
that
you
happens.
stream?
Occasionally, most
should-
of the time. Yeah, it's just Mason LTG is my Twitch.
I have you modded, I think.
Yeah, you do.
I will just add your channel to the auto host list too.
It's most of the time when I'm streaming, it's for I'm part of a professional Magic team, so it's going to be mostly Magic content on there or Legends of Runeterra content. But occasionally I do stream like other stuff. I think the last time or the second to last time I was streaming my playthrough of Omori, which if you haven't played that game,
Do that.
do as long
Yeah.
as you're okay with. It's a really good game,
Dark
but
themes,
also it's if you had issues with Doki Doki Literature Club, you probably shouldn't play that game.
So, ladies and gentlemen, I got
Fuck.
good news for you. Only 3 of our shows have slays on them this week. Everything else is full saves.
Damn.
There's 1 slay on Girlfriend. No surprise. I want it gone. I will be trying
Let me
my
guess.
damn best.
There's 2 slays on the other one and 4 slays on the other one.
Correct. There are 2 slays on Remain.
How
And
did I
then,
know?
of course, there are
Who wouldn't
4 slays on
guess?
Peach Boy. It's gotta go. It's reasonably, it has to go this week. There's just no way to butt around that one. As much as I want it to stay, and I'm obviously, like I said, I'm giving the manga a chance. I'm gonna keep watching it. I want it.
Yeah,
to
let
be
us know.
good. God, man, we didn't even really talk about the scene this week, but Michael and I talked about it a bit. The scene where she pulls her horn out is brutal and very well done for
did
what it
mention it.
is. I wasn't sure how much we talked about it.
Yeah.
Michael
Well, Tom, the reason we
does-
talked about it
Yeah, no,
was
and
because
fair point
I
on
thought
your
it went
end, too.
from it's the best directed scene of that show possibly was her pulling it out, and then it went to one of the worst directed scenes, which is her screaming and not matching the intensity of the art, not matching the way she's talking.
Yeah.
She very quickly does a going from like normal to a pointing, and you have like the blur lines, screen check as it's zooming in, and she's doing a build up in the intensity of how she's talking, but it looks like she does it instantly, and it's just my brain went, how do you fuck that up? You just had such a good scene of this character with high intensity talking, and then just didn't.
Definitely tune in next week. We're gonna be, we're gonna have a real, actual conversation about what's going next week, because that's gonna depend on the quality of a lot of things. Also, I will not be here next week. I will be back in my dorm room. Unless we do it like a Friday
won't.
night, which won't happen. But I will be back in the isolated dorm room, so it'll be a little echoey maybe. It'll be nice bright white walls, as beforehand. Unless
Yay,
I just-
institution!
Yeah, my room, guys. Listen. I'm not leaving. I'm not fucking leaving for a long while, at least a year. So
Yeah, but I'll be back. I'll be back in at the location I'll be for most of the podcast from there on out. Otherwise,
HD webcam now.
that is our episode this week.
It's a good week
Yeah.
anime. And
Yeah.
it's a good fucking season.
Do
Like,
we wanna save the debate on what we're doing for Remain off stream?
yeah, we'll figure it out off stream.
Yeah, okay.
I make
We
my
can talk
case that
about
I
it.
think we should watch episode 7, but that's
I make my
me.
case. The show's really fucking good. I want to
I
watch it.
Yeah, see,
understand that.
my case is that I want to watch the show more.
The case the show's really
Well,
fucking good.
you'll find out
We can
what
do-
we did
Yeah.
next week. We'll see you guys.
Bye bye.
Bye.